Hey, this is Ryan Wiggins back from a very short vacation, filling in for Annie for the day, and glad to do so. Glad to be with you here on Thursday, the 16th of July. It is. It feels like the summer is starting to wind down, but it's not. I mean, we're right in the middle of it. It's just that school is starting to be, when you go into stores and you start to see the aisles, the seasonal aisles have back to school stuff, it just doesn't feel like summer anymore.
It's the worst time of the year.
It is the worst time. It is. It is the worst time of the year because nobody's happy that everybody's going back to school, other than maybe some of the parents who are like, driving me a little crazy. But here we are. Ryan Wiggins here, and I got to tell you, I was paying attention to the news somewhat. But for the last few days, so I was in Branson the last few days just on a short vacation. And before that, I was on a not quite destination wedding venture for my brother. And over the weekend, I got a news alert. And I don't really do a lot of news alerts. I don't, when I'm away especially, I don't want to get a lot of them. But I got one big news alert. And I said to my brother, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. And he said, well, what is it? And I said to both my brother and his now wife, I said, Lindsey Graham died. And they said, who's Lindsey Graham? Because I guess outside of the political world, if you're not paying really close attention,
Really?
you don't necessarily. No, once I described him, they're like, oh, yeah, okay. But I don't think that was the kind of news that sent shockwaves through the political world. But I don't know that it really did a lot in the regular world. I mean, he's a senator. He's a very well-known senator, way more than if some other, if a random senator dies, that's a big deal, but it's political news. Lindsey Graham seemed to cross that breach a little bit in that he was a little more well-known than just your average senator. And so I thought that was pretty big news. And Brad, tell me if I'm wrong, but the conspiracy theories are flying about him right now.
They were.
They were.
Yeah, what was it? An aortic dissection, I think, is what the medical. They got the medical examiner's report out there pretty quickly after his passing. But yeah, they were flying. Russia, Israel,
right.
Iran, all the usual things. But
so fill me in, because I'm not sure that you guys have even talked about this a lot, as I've heard. But
yeah,
what did the report say?
So aortic dissection, I think I'm saying that right. Basically, what happens is your aorta, the big artery in the top of your heart that feeds the rest of your body. If you have arterial sclerosis, I think I'm pronouncing that right, the hardening of the arteries, the interior lining tears, and blood, because that's super high pressure there, blood rushes in between that lining and the other linings and creates like a big, almost like a blood blister.
So it's
in the
not
aorta.
Something you could plan. It's not something you could do with poison.
No,
or something.
I don't know poisons well enough to say exactly no, but I don't know how you would do one that would create a physical injury. Like, there's physical evidence of it that, because what ends up happening is it fills that lining and blocks it off and then starves the rest of your arteries.
Well, we're having a toxicologist on at 2:05. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry,
Okay.
Brad's like,
Way
what? Wait, did I just
way to
schedule
go,
that?
man. I'm proud of you.
But that was the big one to me that I missed for the last 5 days or whatever, that we lost
Yeah.
Lindsey Graham. And, of course, there's a lot of political opinions about Lindsey Graham, but I don't really know anybody that spoke negatively of him as a person. And so that's been kind of making the rounds. Now, when I woke up this morning, I realized, there's actually big news happening today. And that is that President Trump is set to deliver a primetime address tonight. Now, the last time he did this, it was about Iran, and in some ways was nothing. In fact, I think we came back the next day here on the Annie Frey Show and discussed it kind of around the room and said, was that anything? And the answer was kind of no, it wasn't. And so we've I don't want to say boy who cried wolf, but we were concerned at that point that the next time that Trump called the national address, that people would go, but last time he didn't really say anything that was really newsworthy. So next time, maybe we don't pay attention as much. Well, here we are again in that exact spot. And so we're asking you with our poll today, not just are you paying attention, because I think you probably are. If you're listening to 97.1 right now, you're probably paying attention to what the president's going to say in a nationwide address tonight. But ultimately, we're asking the question, will Trump reveal a bombshell tonight? Yes or no? And that's all what we want to know. That's why you'd pay attention tonight. Is this going to be something big? So this morning when I started looking up news about this to see, well, what exactly are we getting into here? Is this going to be about Iran again? It seemed likely to me that it was. We got this news report. Now, this is from ABC News. It says President Donald Trump is set to deliver a primetime address Thursday evening. That's tonight. 8 o'clock. We'll be covering it live, by the way, so tune in right here if you're in the car or whatever. You just got your radio on. He is expected to detail information that he has recently received from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. Now, if you recall, that up until just recently was Tulsi Gabbard.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I get to the name here.
Bill Pulte.
Thank you, Bill Pulte. There it is right there in the article. But it's all related to in the ABC News' words here, related to the 2020 election. Sources familiar with the matter tell ABC News. Trump has long pushed, now this is ABC, so I'm just reading. Trump has long pushed debunked conspiracy theories to claim that his 2020 election loss was fraudulent. It is not immediately clear what allegations he will make as part of his speech. Sources caution Trump's plans can always change.
Yes,
so
true.
ABC's got this source somewhere in the White House who goes, here's what we think it's going to be about, but we're not always sure.
Don't know.
But at this point, quote, election fraud is the topic of his 8 p.m. address, 8 p.m. our time.
Yes.
It says, despite Trump's claims of voter fraud that contributed to his 2020 election loss, officials have found no evidence of widespread voter fraud. That is like a disclaimer that every article puts into these, that no matter if you show them anything, in fact, that's my biggest concern about tonight, is that it has to be a bombshell. It has to be huge. Otherwise, it will get swept into that sentence right there in every article tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll read it again. Despite Trump's claims of voter fraud that contributed to his 2020 election loss, officials have found no evidence of widespread voter fraud. They always add that widespread because they want to make sure you know, well, you can find it. But we don't really look into these things.
It's not widespread.
Yeah, it's your job to look into these things, and you didn't do it, and therefore there's no widespread because we didn't look into it. But I'm not just joking about that about the media. I will actually put the onus on Trump here and say, dude, you've got the platform. You've got the resources now, especially. Now, while you were out of office, you didn't. But now you do. And if you've got the news, if you've got the smoking gun, is this it? Is everything about to change tonight?
Yeah, lay it on the table.
Because this is stuff that Americans have been talking about for 5 or 6 years now, at least as part of the national conversations. People have been talking about this stuff for a long time. But as far as it being about the 2020 election, it's 2026, since we've been talking about it for 6 years. And we've been wondering, and those of us who see little things here and there, we go, well, there's this, there's that. I have long said that I really believe, and this is my opinion, but it is also backed up by Truth Social things that Donald Trump has said. So I'm not just sharing my opinion. I'm basing it on what the president has tweeted out, that the Maduro capture of Venezuela is related to election fraud.
I've seen stuff on that. But it's also important to forget, or not to forget, that the FBI did raid election centers and grab ballots in Atlanta.
Yeah, right. You're very right. And so this stuff has been happening, and that was why I referenced Tulsi Gabbard, because everybody said, oh, she's there. And then that became some sort of weird controversy for absolutely no reason. Well, is she supposed to be there? Why is she there? Well, she's the director of national intelligence at that point. But Trump said this. He said, asked about the speech, which he announced on his social media platform on Monday. Trump said it was, quote, really big news, mentioning the importance of free and fair elections. So you go, oh, okay. Quote, Thursday is, and it doesn't get any bigger, because without free and fair elections, you don't have a country. We'll be discussing other things too, but it's going to be a very big announcement, Trump said in the Oval Office on Tuesday. So the problem with the hyperbolic nature of the way Trump talks about things, announcements especially, is that you really don't know. Everything is a big announcement when he makes one. He always talks about it being a big announcement. So is this going to be any different? I just don't know. So again, I'm referencing back to the poll here to say that we would like you to vote and comment. Will Trump reveal a bombshell tonight? Yes or no? Got a little sound I'm going to pull up here from that question where Trump addresses what Thursday night, what tonight at 8 o'clock is going to be about.
Around the world and around the nation are anticipating your big announcement on Thursday night regarding election machines and integrity. Can you give us sort of a sneak peek about what to expect and tell the
Well,
audience?
I'd rather
America-
save it. It will concern that subject, and we'll have a couple of other things to
Why
say
should people
also.
watch, though?
But I'd rather save it, but it's really big news. It's really, really big news. And our country has to shape up. But that's what we're going to be talking about Thursday is it doesn't get bigger, because without free and fair elections, you don't have a country. We'll be discussing other things too, but it's going to be a very big announcement. Yeah.
Now, he didn't say specifically really anything in there other than there was a big announcement about free and fair elections. But what she asks is this going to be about voting machines? And that would be a different topic than just voter fraud.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is a big distinction because, again, I've mentioned that I think looking back at the Maduro capture, why did they capture him and not kill him? Obviously, they could have. They've done that in Iran. That it's weird that they captured him instead of just taking him out. So they've got him. I don't know that he's a part of this in particular, but I've long said that I think that is one of the reasons they went into Venezuela is because of all of the talk. And look, I'm just saying this because I think that a lot of people hear me say it and they go, conspiracy theorist. Well, I'm referencing things that the president has tweeted out. Now, you can't quote him because he's quoting other people when he does it. Mm-hmm. Now, that's why you haven't seen news stories about it, because when he mentions it, a lot of times he's referencing a podcast or he'll just post a clip. So it's not him saying it. So the news can't necessarily say, Trump said this today, because he didn't say it. He's just referencing other people saying things about Maduro and about Venezuela. And he was saying all that before they went in and captured him. So again, I'm not saying it's all about that. I'm just very curious. I wonder if you are too, about what this is going to be tonight. I'm definitely going to be listening at 8 o'clock. And we hope that you are a part of this, and then we'll be covering it exclusively tomorrow. Probably first thing in the morning with Mark Cox, and then throughout the day, it'll be the topic of discussion. If it's big. If it's not, then I guess we could talk about that too. Like, at what point do you stop paying attention to quote-unquote big announcements if they're not big? Will he talk about Iran tonight? Will he talk about other things? He implies that he will. Mm-hmm. And maybe he's just learned himself to say enough about himself that when he comes out and gives a speech, typically the first thing he gives is, something that is at least on the teleprompter or part of the script. And then he just riffs forever. And so I'll be interested to see how diligently he keeps the topic, if this ABC News report is right, if, of course, what he's saying about having free and fair elections in the 2020 election is all true. If that's what he leads with, be here right at 8. We never know exactly when he'll start, but we'll start our coverage right at 8. And, of course, we will be talking about it all night and then all day tomorrow here on 97.1 FM Talk. We will pause there and just invite you once again to participate in the YouTube live chat poll, which you can do by going to the YouTube channel. Well, you go to YouTube and then you type in Annie Frey Show. You'll see us there live. We are live. Hello. We're right with you right now. This is not recorded. We are with you all the time here live on the Annie Frey Show and asking you that question. Will Trump reveal a bombshell tonight? If you'd like to leave a comment, we'll star those. We'll be talking about them. And if you want to text in, the number is 314-241-9797 about this topic. We're going to take a short break and come back with Hans von Spakovsky. We're going to talk maybe a little bit about this, but I want to talk about judges and where we stand with Trump basically versus the judicial branch up to the Supreme Court at this point. Here on 97.1 FM Talk, this is the Annie Frey Show.
If you've been told that you need a new heating and cooling system for your home, and if you've gotten prices or you're going to get prices, call me. Try to stay away from the word high efficiency or efficiency. If you replace your system now and it's 12, 15, or 20 years old, you are greatly improving the efficiency just by replacing the old inefficient unit. Do not be fooled. If you want a common sense approach and you just want your house cooled, I will help you. If you're good with that, call me. One easy number. It's Missouri and Illinois. The easiest of numbers, 314-293-2600. Or on the internet, bartinman.com. That's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
For state senate, I like Mike. Mike Deering knows what a hard day's work looks like because he's done it his whole life.
I like Mike. He's a dad. He knows what our families are up against.
Mike Deering's a businessman. He knows what red tape actually costs.
I like Mike because Mike Deering stands with President Trump. Secure the border, cut our taxes, put Missouri first.
I'm Mike Deering. Career politicians spend more and tax more while your family gets squeezed. I'll lower your taxes, keep your money in your pockets, and cut government waste so deep it'll make the politicians squeal.
Mike Deering, farmer, small business owner, dad, conservative. I like Mike.
I like Mike.
I like Mike. For state senate, I like Mike. Mike Deering. On Tuesday, August 4th, vote Republican Mike Deering for state senate.
Make common sense conservative leadership common again.
Paid for by friends of Mike Deering. Megan Kaiser, treasurer.
Ready for instant curb appeal that comes with a 25-year transferable warranty? Call Rhino Shield today. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, aluminum, steel, cedar, and more. Over the past 20 years, we've done thousands of homes, businesses, churches, schools, condos, parking garages, large metal buildings, and strip malls, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks. We do flat and sloped metal roofs to extend their lives too. Proud to be veteran-owned and manufactured in the good old USA, so we're tariff-free. We're exceeding expectations every day. Evaluations are free. A+ rated with the BBB and a lot of 5-star Google reviews. Call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
No paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hey, you're listening to 97.1 FM Talk. This is Ryan Wiggins hosting for Annie today on the Annie Frey Show, and we have Hans von Spakovsky on the phone with us, Advancing American Freedom Senior Legal Fellow. Hi, Hans.
Ryan, how are you doing today?
Good to talk to you again. I think we were together last Thursday as well.
We were.
So last Thursday we talked a lot about Supreme Court. We were kind of on the heels of a big session that had just come through.
Right.
Before we get into, I want to talk with you a little bit about where we stand with rogue judges. It's just something that's been on my mind that I thought, I get to talk to Hans, ask him about that. But before we get into that, are there any thoughts about what Trump may be saying tonight? You know, we've just been sort of looking ahead at what this address may mean tonight, and apparently he's going to talk about election fraud.
Well, the White House is being very secretive and not giving any hints about what he's going to talk about. I'm sure part of the address is going to be him ragging on the U.S. Senate to get the SAVE Act passed, and particularly because last night, the U.S. House passed one of those must-pass bills, the Defense Authorization Act. That's the one that keeps the Pentagon operating. And they managed to attach the SAVE Act to that defense bill. So once again, it has landed in the U.S. Senate, and I'm sure that the president's going to emphasize that. By the way, every single Democrat, with only one exception, voted against that last night. Every single Republican voted for it with one exception. Representative Massey, who, from Kentucky, who just got defeated in his primary. I also have no doubt he is going to be complaining about the fact that the Department of Justice, remember, has been trying to get hold of state voter registration lists so they can verify the accuracy and currency of the people who are on those lists. And all they've met with a few exceptions, is obstinate defiance by many states and rogue federal judges, almost all Biden appointees, saying, well, you're not entitled to this, even though under federal law they are.
Okay, so that's interesting that you say that, because that's a big question. Is that working its way through the courts right now, that Trump is saying we absolutely are entitled to this, and are judges blocking it?
Yeah, in fact, I have an article that's about to come out that contrasts a very liberal Biden judge in the District of Columbia who issued an injunction saying that states are not allowed to access Department of Homeland Security database records to check for aliens. And we have a Florida judge, another federal judge, who issued an order last week saying, well, yes, they are. So you have these two federal judges with completely conflicting opinions. I can tell you the Florida judge is correct and the D.C. judge is wrong.
Okay, then what happens in that circumstance? Does that go up to the next level of court? Is that the Supreme Court?
Yes. No, they're going to have to go up to the Court of Appeals.
Okay.
Now, the Justice Department could ask for an emergency appeal before the U.S. Supreme Court. Would the Supreme Court take it up? Maybe, but remember, they're all out for the summer. They're off at their summer homes and not really paying that much attention to what's going on these days.
And we wouldn't want to bother them to do that kind of work. Hans von Spakovsky with us, Advancing American Freedom, Senior Legal Fellow. So Hans, I'm kind of rewinding here, going back to the early part of this second Trump administration, where we learned some names of judges because they were so out of hand that they were blocking just basic things that Trump was trying to do as president. And one of them was Boasberg is the name that sticks out the most. But then I recall, and this is what I'm asking you to kind of clarify for me, I recall that there was some sort of order that said, well, you can't issue those kind of nationwide injunctions anymore. Is that right?
Well, there was by the Supreme Court, but unfortunately, as Justice Alito said, the court left a huge loophole. And the huge loophole was that if you there's rule and the federal rules, without getting into a lot of detail, if you have a class of plaintiffs and the judge certifies them as a class, so because he says, well, this law, whatever, affects all these people all across the country, well, then in those circumstances, sometimes a nationwide injunction is justified. But what's been happening is the rules are very strict. You are not supposed to certify a class except under very limited conditions. What all these rogue judges did is they just ignored those limited conditions and said, oops, everybody's a class, and therefore my nationwide injunction still stands.
Oh, so they're doing the same thing. So nothing's really changed.
Yeah, they're really defying the Supreme Court. And so far, unfortunately, Chief Justice Roberts, instead of stepping in and frankly issuing harsh language about this, instead has given speeches complaining about the verbal attacks on federal judges. And that's the wrong thing to do.
Oh my gosh. Hans, let me circle back to one of the things at the beginning that we were talking about with the SAVE Act, just because I'm curious, and we had a few different threads to go down there. But with the SAVE Act, now that the House has essentially passed the SAVE Act is what you're saying, right?
Right.
Okay.
Well, as part of the defense bill.
As part of reconciliation so that they could have simple majority. Or I guess that the Senate could do the same thing. Is there any change in the Senate? Like, is the pressure mounting for them to say, well, we can't vote against a defense bill, which is why I'm sure they attach these things together. Right. So are there people who are maybe going to come over and this thing has a possibility of passing?
Well, maybe. Remember, the unfortunate four Republican senators who voted with the Democrats were Senator McConnell of Kentucky. Well, he's in the hospital. He's not going to be there to vote either for it or against it. We also had Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, Tom Tillis of North Carolina, and of course, our Republican senator from Maine, who is in a fierce fight, Susan Collins, to get reelected. So will this time Susan Collins maybe vote in favor of it? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully that election contest will force her to say, I really need Republican support, and she'll vote in favor of it.
Oh, interesting. I would have thought for sure that your conclusion of that point was that, oh, well, she's going for re-election, therefore she won't be voting for it. But if you're saying no, she actually might come over. That's interesting.
Well, look, the thing is, Democrats are uniformly against voter ID and proof of citizenship. That's not the case with their constituents. You know, all the polling shows that the majority of Americans, no matter their race and no matter which political party they support, all think these are just common sense, good ideas. So any politician who's smart is in favor of this.
Yeah, absolutely. And she'd have to make that case. Although I just don't understand why somebody like Tom Tillis of North Carolina, other than to hold a grudge. I mean, Murkowski, she's always out there. But Tom Tillis, what are you doing? It seems like it's just personal at this point.
Yeah, he's got no valid legal reason for being against this. It's hard to imagine it's anything other than he's personally still upset over his relationship with the president.
Right. Well, Hans von Spakovsky, always appreciate being able to talk to you, and I thank you that I've been able to talk to you 2 weeks in a row now.
Well, that's great, too, and I guess we'll all wait and see what the president says tonight.
I tell you what, I know that we don't really know, but ABC News is saying, hey, this is what our sources are saying, that it's about election integrity in the 2020 election, so we'll see.
Right. I don't doubt that.
All right, we'll see, and then we'll talk to you next time. All right, thanks, Hans. All right, Advancing American Freedom senior legal fellow Hans von Spakovsky and former FEC commissioner. I don't think I ever get down the line enough to read that, oh, yeah, he was also the FEC commissioner and many, many other things, Hans von Spakovsky. But we're going to take a short break and come right back. We'll be talking about this all day, although I don't know, unless there's news, we're not really going to find out much more about what Trump is going to say tonight at 8 o'clock. Although we all are covering it live, so be here for when Trump talks about what ABC News says is going to be the 2020 election tonight. It'll be right here on 97.1. Short break. Be right back here on the Annie Frey Show.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group.
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw. When we meet our clients for the first time, they have built up a lifetime of savings. Their question is, what can we do with this money so we can live comfortably the rest of our lives? First, we develop a strategy to protect your nest egg from any market losses. Then, we build your own personalized structured income plan that will generate you an income the rest of your life. We put you in control of your money.
You've earned it, and it's our job to make sure you enjoy it. Let our team show you how you can have the retirement of your dreams. Call us now at 314-993-9494 for a no-cost, no-obligation retirement review. You will also get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. We've been helping retirees and pre-retirees retire with confidence for 40 years. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
License number GL250000615.
Hey, Dad, what causes drains to clog?
Grease, hair, soap scum, and tree roots.
Tree roots?
This town has old pipes and big trees. They find each other.
They grow inside pipes?
They bust into pipes.
Whoa.
Once they're in, the water stops flowing.
Can we fix it?
The big green grasser machine can fix any clog.
Green is always grasser at grasserhomeservices.com.
Let's take a break.
Good idea.
Hey, Tom, what are you doing on that Amendment 4?
You know, we fought for our freedom and rights. I'm not giving them away without a fight.
4 takes them?
That's exactly what 4 does. For over 100 years, Missouri voters have used our constitutional power to act when the politicians refused. I'll be darned if I'm voting to pass on less freedom and power to my kids.
And doesn't 4 also kill majority rule?
Yup. creates minority rule, or just 5% of the most liberal statewide voters in one Missouri congressional district that block any citizen-led reform, making it nearly impossible to pass common-sense conservative citizen ballot measures.
That's crazy town stuff.
And we've needed our citizen ballot measure power to pass some big conservative stuff, like outlawing tax hikes without voter approval, lobbyist reforms, and term limits for career politicians.
No way I'm letting a tiny fraction of liberals derail our conservative power. I've no on Amendment 4.
Hard no on 4.
Pay 4 buttons or inch per care governance.
When legacy automation's impacting visibility and downtime, it may be time to consider modernization. Graybar's automation specialists work alongside your team to help you identify risks and map out realistic upgrade paths without unnecessary disruptions. Get started with a free health check of your operations and see what's possible. Yep, Graybar does that.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
250 years of capitalism, private ownership, and rugged individualism. America 250 on 97.1 FM Talk. Sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
All right, we have been talking about this Trump address tonight, and we don't know what it's going to be about. I'm just reading an ABC News report throughout the hour here saying that this speech will be on the 2020 election. And we again, are we just waiting on news? And a couple questions that we've asked you, well, one big one for the YouTube live chat poll is, will Trump reveal a bombshell tonight? Yes or no? Here's a comment from Andy. He says, posed this question to everybody, including Brad. He claimed, he being Trump, claimed it was stolen immediately after the 2020 election. Why do that if it took until now to have proof? I think that's a fair question. I also think, though, that
I can offer a solution.
He's asking you.
So the election took place in November of 2020. So you'd have November until January for him to get the new president sworn in and all that other stuff. So there were 3 months there. Then you had 4 months of an administration that was elected, 4 years of an administration that was elected under that election that isn't going to investigate it. So it's a 4-year pause, and then you have a year or so of investigations now before he brings it forward. And I would add, too, that if he's going to make this point, it is a huge point because it will call into question everything that the American people have ever known and trusted about elections, which means that you have to have lock-tight evidence if you're going to do it. Yeah. So it's not going to be a short little, I think this happened, little bitty investigation, here's the proof. That's not the way this is going to work.
Well, it better not be. We said in the first segment, too, I said in the first segment that, it would have to be something that you would use a lot of resources to find, because the power that you would need and the resources that you would need to find the evidence of that would be immense. And so, of course, it would take basically the office of the presidency to find that again if they were interested in looking at it. Joe says, my source says Trump will do a cooking segment tonight with Rachel Ray. If you could let us know who your source is.
Sounds like a good time.
We'll find that out. We'll find out at 8 o'clock. But in the meantime, Carolyn Levitt is doing a presser on this, and there's a lot of questions going on about other things too. But there was at least one person. Was it the Fox News anchor? I think it was.
Aisha Hassani.
Okay, Aisha Hassani was the one we said, we were listening to the break. We said, stop there. And she's still speaking live, but we want to go to that question. We'll just take it as long as it's on that topic. Go ahead, Brad.
Aisha.
Hi, Caroline. Welcome back. And
Thank you.
I'm assuming the pink is for your baby girl.
I didn't think that, but I guess it is now. Thank you.
We've talked a little bit about what the president might say tonight, but the other question is, who is running the teleprompter tonight after this report that the other guy is now under investigation for making money off of reading the president's speech?
Obviously, I'm aware of the report. The president is too. I spoke with him about it. He believes it's deeply unfortunate and, frankly, a disgrace. And the individual that was cited in that report is complying with the CFTC, but has been put on paid administrative leave. So there will be a teleprompter operator tonight, of course, but it will not be the one, unfortunately, in that story.
One more on Iran. The Vice President, J.D. Vance, went on this podcast with Joe Rogan yesterday, talked about Israel, in which he said that there are some people within their system that we know beyond a shadow of a doubt who are manipulating and trying to change American public opinion to keep the war going on indefinitely. Does the president agree with that statement?
I think the president would certainly agree that, yes, foreign countries certainly do try to persuade American public opinion. There's no doubt about that. I think it's just a basic fact. Ed.
Good to see you, Caroline. Following up on the teleprompter and then one on tonight's speech, what steps is the White House taking to ensure something like that doesn't happen again?
Well, the White House has extremely strict ethical guidelines with respect to issues like this. And as I just told you, this individual will no longer be here. He'll be on paid administrative leave. I'm sorry, without pay. The administrative leave is unpaid, to be very clear. That was a decision by the president. So I think that speaks for itself.
On the concerns about the election, will the president accept the results of November's elections?
Look, Ed, you should tune into the president's speech tonight before you jump ahead to conclusions about what's actually in the speech. Again, I've seen a lot of reporting and misreporting about what the president will say. We hope CBS will take the speech, and all Americans should take it.
Okay, but I'm not presuming anything. I'm just asking if he accept the results.
Caroline, two questions on the Trump account. First, following the birthright citizenship case, is there concern that babies that are born to illegal immigrants here in the United States are not excluded from these accounts? And also, since the $1,000 per child from the Treasury seeds these accounts, can you assuage concerns from those who feel this is wealth redistribution?
I would certainly not describe it as that. As you know, this was an incredible private-public partnership. We had incredibly generous Americans, Michael Dell, and many others who contributed to the fund for the Trump accounts. So that money will then be passed along to America's children, which I think is a great thing that all Americans from all political persuasions can agree upon. With respect to your question on birthright citizenship, I think the president has made his view and the White House has made our view on this case quite clear. We're going to continue to move forward to work with Congress, hopefully in the future, to remedy this problem in our country and to ensure that we cannot have this scam continuing where you have foreigners from all around the world traveling to our country to give birth to babies who are then given the greatest privilege on the face of the planet, American citizenship. That's not how our founding fathers intended this country to work or to operate, and the administration is committed to finding solutions to remedy that.
Do they have access to the Trump accounts, those are children of those illegal aliens?
That's not something I've discussed directly with the
All right,
president.
we're going to break in there. I wanted to give her a chance because they're kind of popping back and forth between questions about what tonight was. That news is news to me, that apparently they had a leaker of speeches, and it maybe didn't pertain just to tonight, that the teleprompter guy was leaking speech news to the press. And maybe that's who the quote-unquote sources are from ABC News that are saying that it's going to be about the 2020 election. Now, they did talk a lot about the future of that guy, and it's not good. That guy is fired, and that guy's not getting paid anymore, and rightfully so. You can't leak that stuff, the teleprompter guy. You'd think that the teleprompter guy would be the first one you'd go to. You go, oh, there's leaks happening. Is it Marco Rubio, or is it the teleprompter guy? I think I'm going to check out what Jerry's been doing over there with the teleprompter. He's real sweaty. But anyway, that guy's gone, and they have a new teleprompter guy. But I don't know that we really got any answers about what tonight's going to be. She did push back and say, well, maybe you should just listen to the speech tonight, but she didn't say whether it would be yes or no, up or down on whether it would be about the 2020 election. Obviously, it's just one of those topics that I find myself very, very interested in, and so I'll be paying attention tonight at 8 o'clock. They did get into, Iran a little bit there, and I'm going to tease this because later in the show, I've got an article here called The Trump Trap. And it is by a guy named Kenneth R. Timmerman, written yesterday, about how the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding, was a trap for the Iranians. And he lays out exactly how this would go, that basically if they accepted it, great. If they didn't, great, because it was going to work out for us anyway. And he paints a pretty good picture of that. So we'll talk about that here in probably in the 1 o'clock hour, the trap called the Trump trap that he set for Iran. And I think you'll be very interested to hear that. In the meantime, we will take a short break and we'll continue to monitor what Carolyn Levitt is talking about here. Obviously, questions going all over the place, even about birthright citizenship and Iran and whether immigrants qualify for Trump accounts, all in that, 3 or 4 minutes that we just played right there. And we'll continue to see if anything comes out of that press conference in light of the president giving a nationwide address tonight at 8 o'clock. Again, inviting you to be a part of that right here on 97.1. We have Ethan's America coming up next here on the Annie Frey Show. Ryan Wiggins here with 97.1 Talk in Action for this month. Stop by the Mission Depot in High Ridge on Saturday, July 18th from 9 to 2. New suits, on-site hiring, VA benefits assistance, and free hot dogs. Learn more at 971talk.com/events.
Home Shield Foundation Repair is a local business, and it's owned by Matt Hayes, this family-owned business right here, built from the ground up in St. Louis. That's the place to call for your foundation repair concerns, your needs, your wants. You've got a guy you can trust in Matt Hayes, and he's one of us. He's from here. 314-271-9900. And when you talk to Matt Hayes about the basement waterproofing concerns you might have, maybe it's uneven concrete. Maybe you've noticed that dreaded kind of spidering in the paint in your home or the plaster. It's gone to a crack, and gosh, we've got some issues here with the foundation that need to be looked at. Need to find out if it's something that's progressing, if it's maybe something that's been brewing for quite a bit. Home Shield Foundation Repair can help you get to the bottom of it and get these problems solved the right way the first time. 314-271-9900. That's 314-271-9900. Call Home Shield Foundation Repair and tell them Annie sent you. Online at homeshieldfoundationrepairs.com.
Ouch! Checked from behind. Man, that's gotta hurt. I'd hire Morgan & Morgan if I were them. What? Yeah, Dan, America's largest injury law firm. They serve up justice, ice, cold, law. Know what I mean? I guess. Their gloves come off when they fight for you. Okay. I'm talking a settlement slapshot. Shouldn't we be talking about the game? Yeah, Dan. Morgan & Morgan.
Proud partner of the St. Louis Blues. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Have you heard those ads claiming Amendment 4 stops conservative amendments?
That's not true. It actually stops a couple big cities from pushing radical ideas into our Constitution. Remember 2024? Only 8 out of 114 counties voted to allow transgender surgeries on children.
That's terrifying. We can't let just a handful of counties rule the whole state.
Exactly. Amendment 4 requires broad statewide support and keeps foreign money out of our elections. Vote yes on 4 this August 4th.
You convinced me. I'm voting yes too.
Paid for by Freedom Principle MO, Missouri First PAC, Kate Sickles, Treasurer.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Wiggins! Oh! Wiggins!
Not Wiggins America, Ethan's America. Ethan's America.
You got to be thankful that at least we set the bar really low.
Ryan Recker brought up a really good point yesterday, and I really appreciated him saying this. He said, I find it impressive that Ethan is just able to take the insults that you give me just about every single day in stride and just keep on rolling.
I'm not that impressed by that.
Well, I think you should be, because...
You know who is impressed by it other than Ryan Recker?
Who?
My mom. My mom is a big fan of you.
I'm a big fan of your mom.
So I just took... I'm doing it. Don't you dare. That sounded like the setup. When I said my mom, it sounded like I was setting up a joke. I was not. I just took a vacation with her, and I'm doing a good segue for you here. Thank you. We just took a vacation. Me and my mom and my youngest son went to Branson, and we just did like 3 days. We did Silver Dollar City, and super fun. We did Whitewater and stuff. And on that drive, we were talking about the show a little bit, and she goes, "You know who I really think is really good? Is that Ethan?" Unprovoked.
I'm that Ethan. Did that just like in your mind?
It kind of did.
Yeah.
I said, "Can you?"
Did you think you were gonna say like you, Ryan? Is that what you thought she was?
This was your mom that said that?
Yes, my mom.
About Ethan.
Yes.
It's kind of like Annie's dad saying that about you.
Exactly. So I don't know if she was just trying to get under my skin a little bit.
Well, the difference is that Annie's dad says that about me too. So.
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think that's true. But I do know that when she said that, I asked her please if she could exit the car, and we were going 75.
Like you asked her to exit while driving, unbuckle, open the door, and hop out.
She was talking about some event where we met. I guess you met her or something. I don't remember where we were. Where she said, "Oh, he was just the nicest, and I love listening to you guys."
Had to have been the 25th birthday party, right? That's the only event that I think I've gone to.
Or Jimmy Fallon. Were you there?
No.
No? Okay. Then it had to be.
I never go to events for you guys because I always have to work with
Yeah,
Mark.
you're working late.
Now, sometimes I get to go like to Mark's events because the day is over, but I never get to go hang out with you guys.
Well, I set you up for the perfect segue into your topic, talking about going on vacation.
Mm-hmm. You did.
Take it from here.
Okay. As you mentioned, Wiggins, it's that time of year. A lot of people are taking vacations. You have experienced that firsthand if you are a listener of the Annie Frey Show this week. And I thought it was interesting. I saw an article on the best airline food and drinks of 2026, as well as just some of the best airlines to fly with. And I'm also curious of your guys' opinions on some of these as well. You know, airline food and drink game is not something I've really thought too much about.
Do you fly much, though?
A couple times a year.
Okay,
so I mean, like,
but you're flying mostly domestically, am I right?
Yes.
You're not flying super far.
Correct.
Most flights you'd be taking, even if they're to the East Coast, are going to be around 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So for the most part, these kinds of rankings don't impact the average person.
Right.
Because I see these all the time. Like that Yahoo just thinks everybody must want to know what the best food is on a plane.
Mm-hmm.
But I am eating maybe those little pretzel twists. And that is it, because that's all they're giving me.
Here's the thing, though, that this is talking even about some of the snacks as well. And so it's not just like, okay, I'm flying over to Japan
Parmesan?
And I'm having, like a full meal.
Yeah.
And something I hadn't thought about on top of this is also coffee. Apparently, when you fly over 5 times a year, which in this survey by Point Me is the website, more than half of the respondents fly more than 5 times a year. What you want from a cup of coffee evolves. Overall, Delta Starbucks topped the survey at 24.8%, but frequent travelers broke the ranks. Over 35% chose Alaska Airlines Stumptown Holler Mountain. I've never even heard of this company.
Stumptown?
They chose this because they developed a blend specifically for high-altitude drinking.
Oh, boy.
According to how taste buds function differently at 30,000 feet. Have you ever heard of anything like this?
Does anybody in this room drink coffee?
I do.
Both of you do?
Oh,
Because I
for
do
sure.
not at all. I don't ever drink coffee. I drink tea, and mainly it's chai tea. But I don't ever drink coffee, so I wouldn't know the difference. I think it tastes terrible.
Dunkin' Donuts, by the way, was voted as the worst coffee to have
really?
on. Yep, and
Oh,
I guess
my wife loves Dunkin'
JetBlue has Dunkin' Donuts on their flights. Delta has Starbucks. Stumptown is on Alaska Airlines. Maybe that's why you've never heard about it.
Okay, so separate question, but related. Has anybody in this room ever actually had a meal on a plane?
Yeah.
You have?
Oh, for sure.
Where? Where were you flying?
Well, this was, I don't know, I think I was in 7th grade, but I was flying from St. Louis to San Francisco.
Oh, that would be just long enough, I guess?
Yeah, I guess.
Although I've
was that
flown...
like 4 hours?
Yeah,
Probably?
it is.
Yeah. And it was, pre 9/11, pre all that other
I don't
stuff.
think they still do
There's
that.
no way they do that now. Because I flew to Seattle last year, and that was a 4-hour flight, and they didn't offer that Everything's gotten
yeah.
cheaper as far as what they
Oh,
offer.
I've only
points.
gone to the West Coast on Southwest, and so I didn't expect anything and got nothing.
Because I flew to Hawaii for my honeymoon, and I don't remember having a meal for that.
So the one time that I've ever had a meal on a plane was when we flew to Japan. But you had to buy it. It wasn't just included.
What'd you fly?
It wasn't Japan Airways. It was some specific to Japan.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of it offhand. But it was awesome. It was so great. And it made you realize how bad the service is in America because they really treat you well. Now, we still had to buy everything a la carte, but the service was so good. And they were so prompt and on time, and everything was very clean. I mean, that's Japan in general. They have a reputation for being one of just the cleanest, most efficient economies and societies in the world. But it was true, and it was amazing. The food was really good, too, and you had to order everything like ahead of time so that they had it prepared for you, so you couldn't just like order it right then. But it was great.
So, it's interesting. I'm not going to talk too much on the wine conversation.
Have you ever had alcohol on a plane?
I don't think so. I've been given alcohol on our honeymoon. They gave us a bottle of champagne.
Did they?
Which was pretty cool. That
A
was
little
Southwest. No, like a
They gave you a
full-size
full
bottle of
bottle?
champagne. It's pretty cool.
On the airplane?
Yeah.
Wow.
We couldn't open it on the airplane, but they said
Like,
they
just take
gave it
this
to
with
us. It has it had the fancy string on it, like the party string on it. Air France, Emirates, Singapore Airlines, British Airways, Qatar Airways, all are the top 5 when it comes to wine, and that makes sense, Ryan. A lot more long distance. Southwest. It's been a rough year for Southwest. We know that. Took it on the chin regarding the open seating, the arrival of the checked bag fees, and apparently now there's another problem. No one likes their snacks. More than 32% of surveyors said Southwest has the worst airline snacks with its lineup of the Stellar pretzel braids, the Remy's Grahams, and Oreo cookies. Nearly 24% said about Americans' meager options. This is American Airlines. Biscoff cookies or mini pretzels.
Oh, yeah.
But their less than stellar snack reputation could be temporary. That could be, they could be mixing some things up here pretty shortly. But I am not high on Southwest right now, and I agree their snack game kind of sucks. Now, like you said, it doesn't really matter when it's a 2-hour flight, but the whole open seating thing with Southwest is so bad in my opinion.
I don't mind it. I like the assigned seating a little bit better, and we're running out of time. So last question for you because we're talking about planes and stuff, is flying itself a luxury? Are there a lot of people listening right now who they don't really ever fly, so this doesn't even apply? I fly every now and then, but it's just Southwest. I mean, I almost never fly anything but Southwest just because it's cheap. So is flying itself considered a luxury in America anymore?
I don't think so.
It's pretty
I don't
common.
think so personally. I mean, I wouldn't say it stands out that much to me.
Take a short break. Be right back.
Stewart's American Mortgage is the home of the Bagel Loan. You can Google the Bagel Loan to find out more information about the new mortgage or the mortgage refinance that you qualify for. Doesn't come with any closing costs. They don't get rolled into the loan. You don't have to revisit with them later. Stewie takes care of them for you. There are no closing costs on a new mortgage refinance, or a cash-out mortgage refinance when you work with Stewie at Stewart's American Mortgage. I want you to give my friend a call at 314-324-4440 or text him and get the conversation started right now. I have had many a conversation with Stewie myself, which has resulted in 2 Bagel Loan refinances over the course of the years that I've been talking to you about him. And tell him what you're trying to do, and he will tell you what's best for you. He does business the right way. He cares about the outcome for you, and he's ready to take your call or to take your text. For the Bagel Loan, 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. Google the Bagel Loan for more information. NMLS number 226715.
When Donald Trump needs conservative votes to help pass his agenda for Missouri, Representative Trisha Burns never answers the call. Trisha Burns has missed 370 votes. Burns is bucking President Trump's priorities. Burns did not vote to stop DEI initiatives, prevent China from owning Missouri land, defund Planned Parenthood, and Burns Burns did not vote to ban boys from girls' sports. Trisha Burns not showing up for Missouri and President Trump. Instead, Trisha Burns spends her time pulling pranks on the suicide prevention hotline. Yes, you heard that right. Trisha Burns lied to the police and staged a fake suicide emergency. She sent a series of messages to the hotline and said she, quote, had a gun to her head, end quote. When she got caught, she said there'd be no consequences because she's a politician. By August 4th, vote to show Trisha Burns that there are consequences to being bad at your job. Cut the Bull PAC paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
You know Zero Res, the zero residue carpet cleaner that leaves your carpets truly clean with no dirt attracting soaps or harsh chemicals. Don't risk it with the other guys and skip the DIY disasters that leave your carpet soaked for days. This month, get 3 rooms of carpet zero resified starting at just $129. Call 314-474-2020 or visit ZeroResSTL.com and ask for the 97.1 special.
Hey guys, are you dealing with low energy weight gain or issues in the bedroom? Game Day Men's Health is the premier men's health clinic in the St. Louis area with locations in Chesterfield and O'Fallon, Missouri. They specialize in low testosterone and sexual health, and they also help men and women with medical weight loss, vitamins, and peptides. They offer free consultations and testosterone tests with results in about 20 minutes. Get in, get answers, get back to the top of your game. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Again, that's GameDayMen'sHealth.com.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
It will shock you. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. That for the White House about what the president will say tonight on election integrity.
We are the greatest country in the history of the world. We should have the safest and most secure elections in the history of the world. And what the president will be speaking about tonight will show you that perhaps that is not the case, and we need to make some adjustments moving forward.
Spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt also says the findings to be released are backed by evidence. The president has continued to challenge the 2020 election results while pushing for changes, including proof of citizenship to vote. Leavitt also saying moments ago that Iran made a tragic mistake by continuing to attack commercial ships.
The reason for the recent strikes over the course of the last several days is because Iran violated the memorandum of understanding that we struck with them.
But she says the president remains open to diplomacy. Iran remains publicly defiant, one official calling the U.S. strikes criminal. Flooding in Texas after days of heavy rain, now blamed for at least 1 death in Hill Country, a region still recovering from devastating floods that killed more than 100 last summer.
We've taken on a significant amount more water than last year's flood. This morning there was about 200,000 cubic feet per second of water coming through the Guadalupe, which was significantly higher than last year.
Kendall County Judge Shane Stolarczyk, as water rescues continue in homes and on roads. The National Weather Service warning a large and deadly flood wave is heading down the Guadalupe River, with other rivers also still rising. Multiple states dealing with hazy smoke from wildfires in Canada.
Along the border of Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the UP of Michigan, areas where the air quality is the worst in the country. But for folks in the Northeast, including New York City, we are now under that unhealthy range for all groups.
Fox Weather's Bane Froney. Those air quality alerts extend down to Washington, D.C. and up into New England. America is listening to Fox News.
Point!
Hey, you okay? You don't normally miss those shots.
Oh, I just haven't been as regular lately, and it's making me feel sluggish.
You should try Metamucil. It's been a game changer for me. Metamucil's plant-based psyllium fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down.
Ace!
You're moving better than you were last week.
Definitely.
Metamucil keeps you moving. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Learn more at Metamucil.com.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term.
Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Typical middle of July weather for our Thursday afternoon. Partly sunny skies, warm to hot, quite humid, and there are spot thunderstorms popping here and there. Some will bring some brief heavy downpours of rain and thunder and lightning, 93. Spot evening storms until about sunset. Otherwise, partly cloudy, 75, and Friday, 93 degrees. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The Annie Frey Show is sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 56 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance and installation, and heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. AirComfortService.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Today we face a new wave of this old evil. Here in the United States, the share of left-wing terrorist attacks and plots has risen to levels not seen in decades. In Germany, far-left violence has jumped by more than 40% in just the last year alone. In Greece, more than 80% of radical violence is now driven by far-left and anarchist actors. These are not abstract statistics. Americans have seen what those numbers mean. An all-out assault on our immigration officers, sniper attacks, explosives, armed ambushes, a transgender shooter opening fire on Catholic elementary school students as they pray, his gun marked with slogans like, "Where is your God now?" A healthcare executive executed in cold blood in the streets, multiple assassination attempts on a sitting president, and the murder of the greatest conservative activist of a generation, a man who happened to also be a husband and the father of 2 young children, shot and killed while speaking to a crowd of students. This is a distinctive and unique evil. It has always been driven by a hatred, above all else, a hatred for civilization itself.
Starting with international, their examples, but bringing it back to domestic, that's Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, talking about the way leftist violence has been playing out. And it's here. It is in our borders now, and it is not just something that we talk about, socialism being overseas or communism being overseas. It is here. It is in major American cities, and it is growing in those ways. The question is the majority of America accepting socialism, or is this still a very far left platform that they are winning in deep blue cities? Right now, that's what's happening. But they're also kind of controlling the party. And that's what's tough, is that you go, well, maybe this is a faction of America, but if they're controlling one of the major 2 parties in America, then that's a big problem. Stephen A. Smith is no Republican. He seems to be a centrist, if anything. And here is him talking about socialism.
We damn sure don't want to be a socialist nation. This ain't Denmark. This ain't Finland. This ain't Sweden. This is the United States of America. You roll over to these borders with the vision and the fantasy and the passion that, yo, here I can achieve anything. I ain't trying to be like everybody else. I'm trying to be one-on-one. That's what this is about in America. We don't talk about that enough when it comes to the socialists. Because they're convincing folks that rather than individuals being a problem, rather than lobbyists being a problem, they're trying to convince you America's a problem while they're over here profiting from the American system. And the Democrats with their spineless, weak, feckled selves are allowing it to happen.
I really, really like that from Stephen A. Smith, because it's not, you'll hear an argument a lot of times to say, well, Denmark and Sweden. And the argument goes like this. Yeah, but those aren't really socialist nations. And that's probably true. But then you get kind of mired up in the idea of, well, what is socialism? And to what extent could we get there and not really be called socialist? He's like, look, why are we running in that direction at all? We have built something so amazing here that why would we retreat from the system that's gotten us here? And you could say, well, because it's had some problems, because every system has some problems. But we have gotten very, very far and farther than anybody ever has on one system of capitalism. And here we are. And you're benefiting from it right now in many, many ways that you could probably look around and go, yeah, I'll accept that. All these things around me, this is from capitalism. This is from gumption. This is from people trying to make a buck. And that doesn't really happen as much in socialism and communism. People's incentive to do that is taken away, or at least it's diluted. And Stephen A. Smith going right for the jugular there. Really, really like that. I have an article here from New York Times that is talking about the direction of the Democrat Party. And the reason it's important is not just because it's some random guy doing an essay in the New York Times. It's because it's in the New York Times. And he says here, there are 3 things the Democrats have to do if they actually want to win. Now, in my opinion, I've looked this guy up. I can't really find a lot about him. His name is Thomas B. Edsall. Maybe you've heard of him before if you're really, really into that world. But he seems to me to be a Democrat advocating for Democrats to win elections. And he says at the beginning of this article in the New York Times, even now, quote, even now, according to a new survey by the left-leaning group Data for Progress. By the way, addendum here, Data for Progress, very, very, very far left polling firm. I know that from watching polls. Anyway, back to it. It says, Data for Progress, the Democrat Party has a net negative rating of minus 29 percentage points among swing voters. And that is actually worse than the minus 25 for the Republican Party. So when you remove the names from it and just talk about platforms in general, the Republican Party is actually more popular than the Democrat Party at this point, which should not happen. In the middle of a midterm like this, when Republicans control both chambers of Congress and the presidency, that should be the high water mark for the Democrat Party. And I'm talking about nameless Democrat Party.
Yeah.
Not like, oh, do you like Nancy Pelosi or Hakeem Jeffries or Chuck Schumer? Do you like Democrats better generally or Republicans generally better? And by the way, this poll, again, I said this already, but I'm highlighting it. This is from Data for Progress, a far left polling firm saying Republicans are more popular right now than Democrats are. This article goes on to say Democrats seeking to restore their party's credibility with the electorate as a whole, but especially among those crucial swing voters, might consider adding 3 planks on immigration, urban disorder, and transgender issues to the platform. And I will go through this, and he says these are the ways that you'd have to fix the Democrat Party to make it more mainline again. Otherwise, you're just going to lose all the middle voters, which is what he's talking about there. He's talking about swing voters in particular. It says, first, on immigration, I would suggest, with plenty of room for amendment, the following. Democrats will firmly enforce laws on illegal immigration, including tough border enforcement and deportation of unauthorized immigrants who commit crimes. Super basic stuff. Super basic, yet that's really, really tough to do for Democrats now. Unauthorized immigrants with no criminal record who have been in this country for at least 5 years, along with dreamers, should be offered green cards with a path toward citizenship. More recent arrivals should be deported. Now, that is a Democrat saying we should move in that direction. I'm not advocating for all of that. That's just what he's saying to New York Times readers. Then he goes on to say, it's not just immigration. How about on crime? It says the Democrat Party supports aggressive prosecution of those accused of violent crime. This is what they should do. Those who engage in crowdsourced teen takeovers of stores, as well as all forms of child abuse. The party backs restoration of bail requirements. In the case of felonies, lifetime sentences for offenders convicted of multiple violent crimes, tough enforcement of child support laws, and the death penalty if supported by the voters in a state and endorsed by a jury. So, enforcement of law.
So
overall.
this is what the poll is saying about Democrat voters.
He's saying this is the way the party needs to go.
Okay.
Like this would be a party platform to put in your next overall,
It's like 180 degrees away from what they're doing now.
Well, I'll get there because that's correct. He's saying these things because he knows that they're not happening. And the Democrat Party just doesn't really seem to have any interest in crime. It's very weird, and it's almost to the point where you go, how could this be? Because the individual, let's say it's just a random politician, that individual has a lot of interest in stopping crime against themselves.
Yeah.
But why wouldn't they project that onto all of their constituents? They just don't.
That would be something that I would love to talk to a Democrat that supports those sorts of things. Is like, what is it against things like bail that you have? What is it against things like arresting people for breaking the law that you have? What is your thinking here? What is the process, and what do you think the result will be?
Exactly. So the first one was immigration. The next one was crime. The last one is transgender and gender dysphoria. He's saying that this should be the platform, okay? There are two sexes, men and women. A man can claim an identity as a woman, and the same in reverse for a woman. They have every right to do so. Their claim should be respected, and they should be protected from any form of discrimination for their choice. Their claim does not, however, alter their biological sex. Consequently, it is legitimate in areas such as sports where a transgender person would have a competitive advantage over a non-trans person to bar such participation. Similarly, a claim to a sexual identity does not give a trans woman the right to incarceration in a woman's prison. We don't talk about that aspect of it very much.
That's bad. Yeah, that's rough.
Finally, the debate over gender-affirming surgery and hormone treatments is fraught with contradictory assertions. For now, because there are credible scientific claims of irreversible harms, such treatments for those under 18 should be barred pending further study. This does not seem like it's that far out of left field. This is stuff that I think that we talk about quite a bit.
Yes.
And that this person, I'm assuming is a Democrat, is saying we're getting killed on these issues and that we need to change.
Yeah.
I'll go back to the top here, Brad. Something that you said this is almost like a 180.
Yeah.
They would have to be going away from these things. You're exactly right. He actually opens this by saying, I am more than a little queasy making these suggestions, but I think the Democrat Party needs to perform a kind of brutal surgery on itself. The hard edge, character, and language of what I am proposing is specifically designed to function as a public renunciation of the Democrat Party's liabilities, its ties to special interest groups, and its readiness to succumb to progressive orthodoxy. The proposals amount then to an ideological exorcism.
It's a heck of a way of putting it. But
in the words
yeah.
of this article in the New York Times, that is what he's saying needs to happen to save the Democrat Party.
Well, do you know who was? We had somebody on the show that is a Democrat that was saying things like that. And do you remember who it was?
No.
It was Rod Blagojevich.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He was very much like, hey, look, this isn't the party that I ran under. I'm still this. I believe this is what the Democrat Party should be, and what they are is not what it ever could have been or should have been or anything like that. It's been hijacked. It's kind of his stance on that. And it's like, would America be better? I mean, what that author is saying, what Rod Blagojevich was saying is that what the Democrat Party needs to do is move back in line with mainstream America on these issues. Mainstream America is where what you were just laying out in that article, what that man was laying out in that article. That's where mainstream America is. And what the Democrat Party needs to stop doing is trying to force the biggest chunk of the country to succumb to the smallest parts of the country.
Yeah, that's right. And I've heard many people say when you do these kinds of comparisons that you say, well, what you're saying is they're really bad, but we're really bad. We're just a little better. Yes. That is what we're saying here, because I'm not coming on here and saying, man, Republicans have done a bang up job. We wouldn't be in debt if the Republicans had done a perfect job, in my opinion. We are a nation in debt right now, and I blame both parties, but Republicans are the ones that talk about it the most, and they don't do enough about it, in my opinion. But when it comes to elections and when it comes to either candidates or parties, you do have to just compare them because that's what you have. You can, and I've said this before on this show, even recently, that I'm kind of over the days of comparing my politician that I'm supporting in whatever election to perfection. You have to compare them to the alternative. And last election, it was either Trump or Kamala Harris. And so I voted for Trump because I thought he would do better than Kamala Harris, and I still think that.
I still think so, yeah.
That's always the case. And so when you talk about things like the midterms coming up, it's really important to say, well, even if you don't love everything that Republicans have done, like I'm really mad that Republicans have not passed the SAVE Act. The vast majority of them are in favor of it. You have it held up by just a handful, but I'm still not happy about it. But would I do better if I believe that that is the way to go? Would I do better by sitting this election out or voting for a Democrat or continue to push Republicans to do more of the things that I want?
Right.
And that's always the case when it comes to parties and elections. A lot of times you can take the names off of it. I had this long conversation with a friend of mine recently within the last year or so who was talking about Trump. And he's a Republican, but Trump drives him crazy. And I'm like, dude, I understand. It's okay. There are a lot of people like that who you hold your nose and vote for Trump. I said, but here's the deal. I've held my nose and voted for Romney. So it really doesn't matter. Like, you're always going to be holding your nose and voting for somebody.
You're never going to find anybody that's going to line up with you 100%.
And so when you see the direction that the left is going, and I don't just mean the far left, I mean the party of the Democrats, who there are a lot of people, and maybe some listening right now, who when they hear things like what this guy's saying about immigration and crime and transgender and gender dysphoria, they go, yeah, I actually do agree with that. Those Democrats, you Democrats, have been taken over by the far left of your party and the money. The money is with the far left. And that's where the party's going, and that's the problem. So it's important to point these things out in light of coming elections to say, hey, which one is better? Don't compare your candidate or your party to perfection, except in times when you want them to do better. Then definitely hold them to the fire.
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't do that, but I am saying when it comes to an election, you got to pick and go, well, I haven't seen them pushing these things as hard recently because they know they're losers.
Yeah.
The minute they get back in power, that's all they'll do.
Spanberger in Virginia is a perfect example of that. At this point in her term, she is 10 points under what Youngkin was at the same point in his term. They got in there and everybody felt betrayed because she went in there saying she wasn't going to do all these things. And as soon as she got in there, the first thing she did was try to rewrite the maps, ban assault rifles or whatever those are called, and all of that stuff. And she got in there. Now the people of Virginia are like, wait, this isn't what you said you would do.
Yeah.
So they will lie to you to get in. But I will say this too. If you don't like the two choices that you have to vote for come regular, midterm election or general election, what are you doing in the primaries? Are you investigating and paying attention to who the candidates are, and are you actively voting? Because whenever you look at the numbers during a primary, especially in an off year, they are incredibly low. So you have an opportunity to shape who the candidate your party is going to bring to the table is. You have that opportunity. Are you taking it? And if you're not, get involved in the primary so you get more candidates that line up closer to you and not what the extremes of your party are.
Thank you for that example as we wrap up here of Spanberger in Virginia. I'll give you an example of what you're talking about with the primaries. Who's the far left picking? Who are Democrat voters picking in their primaries? They're picking people like Graham Plattner. And that's the way the party's going. It's just, and I almost don't want to make this about Trump because it's not, but that's what they're making it about. Like, whoever is the hardest against Trump, we'll just pick them. I don't care what their tattoos are, what they've done to women, what their business background is. It doesn't matter. Just can they speak better against Trump that sort of satiates that thing inside me that hates him so bad? That's all it is. All right, we'll take a short break and be right back. I'm going to talk a little bit about a TV show that should I give it away? It has to do with a TV show I almost wrote in Branson, and I just got back from there and it reminded me of it, so I'm going to tell that story next.
Listen up. If you have not paid self-employment, business, or individual taxes in years, the IRS will find you. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. I offer real solutions. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call me, Lance Story, today and let me get between you and the IRS. I'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. At the Lance Story Law Firm, our practice is focused 100% on fighting the IRS. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis. Call 314-260-6120 or visit LanceDruryLaw.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group.
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw. When we meet our clients for the first time, they have built up a lifetime of savings. Their question is, what can we do with this money so we can live comfortably the rest of our lives? First, we develop a strategy to protect your nest egg from any market losses. Then we build your own personalized structured income plan that will generate you an income the rest of your life. We put you in control of your money.
You've earned it, and it's our job to make sure you enjoy it. Let our team show you how you can have the retirement of your dreams. Call us now at 314-993-9494 for a no-cost, no-obligation retirement review. You will also get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. We've been helping retirees and pre-retirees retire with confidence for 40 years. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Spring is here in St. Louis, and if you're thinking about selling, now's the time. But timing is only part of it. Hey, it's Mark Cox, and I'm with Gloria Lou, your home sold guaranteed realty. Gloria, why is it still so important to choose the right realtor?
Simple. Not every home is selling fast or for top dollar. Here's the difference. I already have the buyers. With over 2,400 buyers in waiting, I'm not just listing your home. I'm matching it with demand. That's how I offer my guaranteed sale program. We sit down, agree on the price and timeline, and if your home doesn't sell, I'll buy it myself. But my goal isn't to buy your home. It's to sell it for the most money possible in the least amount of time. And that's exactly what my system does. My clients don't have to hope their home sells. I guarantee it.
If you're selling your home this spring, call the one I trust, Gloria Lou, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession.
Don't let tax refund worries hold you back. File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve, or your money back. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
The Annie Frey Show is St. Louis conservative.
That's a great song, but it just cracks me up that there was a point at which we said like boom, boom, boom was like, oh yeah, that'd be a great song. But she made it, like it's a really good song, but just using those synths.
I heard that song was written at a stoplight.
Really?
Yes. The guy realized that they didn't have a love song for Top Gun. And he was like, oh man, he was coming back from the meeting with and then he's like, let me write this song. And he wrote it at a stoplight.
Well, it's the synth though that makes it.
Oh, it's great.
It's a great song otherwise. But anyway, this is Ryan Wiggins filling in for Annie Frey. So I just got back from Branson. We had a wedding over the weekend, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But we went on Monday morning down to Branson with just me and my mom and my son, who's 9 years old. And we went to Silver Dollar City and just did Branson stuff. We saw a show. We saw, if anybody's ever been to Branson and seen Reza, we saw Reza. He is a magician.
Okay.
And he does a good show.
I like magicians.
I do too. And I think magicians get a bad rap.
Yes.
Magicians, he was real low key, but he was kind of funny. And you can tell, it's whenever you go to any show in Branson, which I have not done a ton of, but I've been to Branson 1,000 times. But the shows are something that I'm just starting to kind of pick up. Whenever you go to one, it's always like, how many times have they done this show? And so how can they sort of trick you into thinking this is the one time you really wanted to see this, you know? And they were pretty good at it. Like the best of the shows, they've got their show figured out and it's going to be good. But can they make you think you were important enough in that one show to have seen a really good one? That to me is the difference. And he does a pretty good job of that. A lot of props and a lot of like screens and music and stuff. So it can sell it pretty well. But I was reminded of a time when I was doing TV and I had been hired to write a TV show out of Branson. And it was weird because the guy that was hiring me was not from Branson. He was actually from one of the Dakotas. And he hired me and another guy from St. Louis to write a show for Branson. And I thought, oh, this will be a blast. And it was a comedy show. I think it was based around I shouldn't say that the Bald Knobbers were associated, but I think some of the cast was maybe in the show.
Okay.
Like some of those famous people who I'm not sure if they're still there or not, or if they've, this was 15 years ago, so maybe they're not even with us anymore. I have no idea. But they were in it, and so they were selling this as like, oh, it's got like celebrities in it, but they're Branson celebrities,
right,
so it's not like national celebrities. But I thought this is going to be great because it's a show that's designed around a diner where all the kooky characters that come into the diner, and I think the guy that owned the diner was the main character.
Okay.
And it was all real old-fashioned Branson, like, you got to sit on down and eat your gravy, like
get some grits,
like that stuff. And I'm like, this is great, like, this is fantastic. But they were trying to make it halfway kind of goofy, heartwarming, like Duck Dynasty kind of humor. Duck Dynasty did it really well because they made fun of each other a lot and stuff, and they kind of vulnerable. But this show was trying to be goofy humor that also had a lot of heartwarming stuff in it. And I'm like, well, that's fine, but you've got to go way into the goofy stuff. Like, you've got to be so ridiculously backwater, just nutty Branson kind of comedy.
Yeah. Ozarks.
That doesn't even exist anymore. I mean, there is no person on earth that's like, I just love that. I mean, I guess maybe there's a pocket of people that go and just watch comedy in Branson that's just that, but that's very rare, and it's not like a wide TV audience. And I knew that, but this was supposed to be on a rural network that was primarily in rural America, but it hadn't cracked a lot of the cities, and they didn't care. They're just like, we are for rural America.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the name. It was something like Rural Route TV or something like that. And it had a lot of money behind it. And so this show was going to be hopefully on that network. And there's a whole process that I don't want to get into of how these things work. It's not necessarily the network that was doing the show, so it wasn't a guarantee. If it was the network that was buying it, then it was going to be on.
Yeah.
But this was done by independent producer who was trying to pitch it to that network. So they were doing this pilot. Well, they hired me to bring it to come in and do more comedy, like to just add some comedy to it. And I'm like, that's great. This is what I like to do. And I leaned way into the goofy, stupid humor. Like it was that times 10. Like, let's go for it. If we're going to do it, let's do it. And they're like, no, this is too stupid. I was like, I know. That's the point is that nobody's going to watch this and think these are real people and I really identify with them. You got to go nuts and just make this show nuts. And they hated it. They hated everything I did. And I'm like, but then you could bring it back at the end and have some sort of lesson. But until then, you got to make it a spectacle. Yeah. Otherwise, there's no reason to watch this show. and the people doing the show, I guess, were so attached to their vision of it that they were like, we just wanted you to do some like extra jokes. We didn't want you to push it that hard. And you can imagine the kind of stuff I was putting in there.
For sure.
Was insane. And I thought I was actually fairly proud of it. I thought if they did it, it would have been really funny and just over the top. But they fired me almost immediately from doing that show.
Oh,
and I had it was okay. I had no like deep roots in that thing at all. This was just like, let's give it a chance. And I'm like, well, if I'm going to give it a chance, then let's go for it.
Yeah.
And I did. And The sad part was that I was also kind of still part of the pitch when they did the pitch to the network, and the network was like, what is this? what am I seeing here? Because it was just not very good. And I'm like, yeah, you guys should have gone big. Go big or go home. Don't try to walk the line between these things. You know, if you're going to do comedy and make the jokes fast and furious and make them big, especially with a show like that, and make them like visual jokes. Just go for it. And they just wouldn't do it. So anytime I go to Branson and I see any signs for any of these shows that had different stars from those shows in this TV show, I'm always reminded of that, which was ultimately a huge failure for me, but was also a failure for them.
I don't think it was your failure.
It was. I don't think it was either. But it's a great atmosphere down there. I really do like Branson. I think it gets a bad rap sometimes for being like real old-fashioned. But I'm telling you what, man, old-fashioned feels real nice right now. it is great.
You're getting older.
Hey, yeah, maybe so.
Getting
maybe
older.
so.
Next thing you know, you'll be buying a motorhome.
You know, the other thing I noticed while I was there, and I won't go too long here, but is that the business owners themselves really are openly Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll have Christian stuff in their gift shops. They'll have scripture in their windows. And you could say that they're pandering, but I do not get that sense at all. You could have a business run just fine there without any Christian stuff in it. It's not as if you have to have that. But when I see a place like Dick's Five and Dime right downtown Branson, cool store, man. That is a cool store and hard to navigate because the aisles are very old-fashioned for nobody with hips to walk through. And they have a sign in their window that says, starting April of 2023, so this was a while ago, we're going to be closing on Sundays just to honor the Lord's Day. Now, that's not a decision you make for business.
Right.
That's a decision you make because you believe it. And there's a lot of that in Branson. And it inspires me to be more open about my own faith. I don't know about here on the radio, like we're pretty open.
Yeah.
But just in general, like, why have we decided that your Christian faith has to be kind of in the background? That's the main reason I exist, and that you would say the same thing, I think.
Oh, for sure.
That, like, we exist for Jesus, so why do we sort of like place that aside? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's embarrassment, shame, whatever.
Maybe.
But you go down, like you go to that place, and I know the exact vibe that you're talking about, the feel that you're talking about. It's just that old school Christian town, small town feel. They don't put it in there because they're pandering. They put it in there because they believe it.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not edgy or whatever, like modern. It's really very not. It's very almost, I don't want to say a caricature, but it you see where the caricature comes from is from that area. I
totally
know
get
that
what
feel.
you're saying.
I know that feel that you're talking about. And it's heartwarming to see, you know, the people down there that genuinely believe and are following it. And you're like, I'm not alone. Because sometimes in these areas where you're faster paced and that sort of thing, sometimes you feel like there's nobody else out here that thinks like me, that believes like me.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of on an island.
And it felt very genuine the whole time with it. The only other place I've been to recently in my adult life that felt that same way was Rapid City, South Dakota, where where Mount Rushmore is, and it's a big tourist town, of course. But it felt the same way. Not really in your face, but everybody kind of had their scripture up on the wall and just stuff that was just like, here's a reflection of me. Glad you're here at my coffee shop, whatever. But it was very much like that. And we'll take a short break and come right back. More to talk about regarding the news when we get back on the Annie Frey Show here on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, I'm sure you're aware, I guess you can all imagine, that not only are we busy, but other reputable companies are also just as busy, if not busier, and it's only going to get worse. So if you know, I know this is tough, but if your system has not been keeping up with your house for just not this year, but last year, the year before, and even the year before that, if you want to quit doing it and just get it done, just call me, Bart Inman, and it's one easy number, the easiest of numbers that sometimes I forget. So write it down. 314-293-2600, Missouri and Illinois, or on the internet, bartinman.com. That is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
The radical left let crime and drugs pour into our nation, and they let biological men into girls' sports. But here in Missouri, if there's a problem, we fix it. That's why Ann Wagner's fixing the mess the radical left made and delivering for us. Wagner voted to ban biological men from competing in girls' sports, and she voted to fund the police and provide more resources for Border Patrol agents, keeping our families, communities, and children safe. And Ann Wagner didn't stop there. In Congress, Wagner passed the largest working-class tax cut in American history, kept big government out of our business, protected our way of life, and ensured our communities remain safe. That's why Ann Wagner's endorsed by the Missouri Farm Bureau and Missouri Fraternal Order of Police. Vote Ann Wagner for Congress on August 4th.
I'm Ann Wagner, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Ann Wagner for Congress.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, you're not alone. Most importantly, you don't have to live with it. Paramount Men's Medical Center restores men's sex lives in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, even when Viagra and Cialis don't work. Here's Dr. Simovitz, specialist in men's health.
Paramount Men's Medical Center's painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. 98% of patients see instant results right in the office.
Men are now lasting longer than they ever imagined. And the best part, at Paramount Men's Medical Center, your consultation and first treatment are free. Qualified patients even get their testosterone checked free. Call 314-887-4333. 314-887-4333. Take control of your sex life. Call now. 314-887-4333.
Today's YouTube live chat poll. Well, Trump's got a speech tonight, and what we want to know is, will Trump reveal a bombshell tonight? And it's a simple yes or no question. So there's a couple ways that you can let us know what you think. Vote on Annie's YouTube page and leave a comment telling us why you voted the way you voted, and if it's a yes, what you think that will be. Also, you can text us at 314-241-9797. You can text us there and leave us a text message saying, hey, I think the bombshell is going to be this, and let us know yes or no. The time is 1:40. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
JerryKelly.com. From Wood River to Weldon Springs, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
The world and around the nation are anticipating your big announcement on Thursday night regarding election machines and integrity. Can you give us sort of a sneak peek about what to expect and tell the audience?
Well, I'd rather save it. It will concern that subject, and we'll have a couple of other things to say also.
Why should people watch, though?
But I'd rather save it, but it's really big news. It's really, really big news. And our country has to shape up. But that's what we're going to be talking about Thursday is it doesn't get bigger, because without free and fair elections, you don't have a country. We'll be discussing other things too, but it's going to be a very big announcement. Yeah.
All right, so he's saying right there, it's going to be a big announcement that he is going to talk about the 2020 election. I don't know if he specifically said 2020, but that we have to have free and fair elections to have a country. And the question was about voting machines. So he's pretty much saying that he will talk about. I will say one thing, that if it's a bombshell, like we're asking you in the YouTube live chat poll, I'm not sure why you talk about anything else. Like, why make this press conference about anything other than that if it's that big of a bombshell, other than the fact that Trump just takes questions and talks about whatever. But I would have to think that if that is that big of a deal, why would any of the questions be about anything else? And that's if the press is there. I don't know what this is going to look like tonight, whether he's going to be in the Oval Office or giving a speech, with other people there or not. I just don't know. But we'll find out. It's at 8 o'clock tonight, and we will carry it live. A lot of people commenting on this since we've been asking you to in the YouTube live chat poll. And one of the things that has come out during the show is that there's a source that's leaking inside the White House, and that they've determined that, yeah, it's the teleprompter guy. He was talking to the press about a lot of things, not just this one, but he was also, according to Fox News, making bets on like Polymarket and stuff based on the information that he had in speeches. That is super. This guy's in big trouble. But the Trump to give primetime speech on 2020 election story from ABC News cites sources, and I wonder if they were citing that guy as their source, which we found out during Carolyn Levitt's press conference earlier. A comment here on the YouTube page says, from Info Dude, it says, it would be really funny if they suspect that he was leaking information, the teleprompter guy, and gave him fake information to put out into the teleprompter that had nothing to do with what he's speaking about tonight. Oh, yeah. Some chess being played right there. Brad, you got some comments on the text line?
So from the 314, this person said his message might be important, and I will certainly listen. But everything he says, in his opinion, is really, really big.
It's very true.
And then another person said, no bombshell, just lies. And that's also from the 314.
No. Okay. All right. Thank you for weighing in. This person, Dirk, on our chat says, I chose no. I think he will give a basic update. I really wonder. I mean, when he touts that it's going to be something regarding free and fair elections, I certainly pay attention. But he has done this before where he'll give a nationwide address and you walk away going, well, I'm not sure that I really learned anything new. So that's very possible. But I definitely am keeping an ear out on this thing for sure. Mark on the YouTube page says, DJT will stand in front of a map of the USA and point out in Sophia Cunningham fashion which sanctuary city ICE will hit next. Then reveal a bombshell 2020 election proof it was stolen. like burying the lead. Yeah, I could see that happening very much, Mark. Thanks for weighing in. Let us know what you think about that topic and whether you'll be listening tonight. We'll, of course, be paying very close attention, and we'll talk about it. Even if you don't hear it tonight, we'll talk about it tomorrow on the Mark Cox Morning Show and then this show. And I'm sure Kilmeade will hit it. If there's anything big there, he certainly will. And Mark Reardon would be after that. YouTube live chat poll says, will Trump reveal a bombshell tonight? Yes or no? Brad, I hesitate to already in the show ask you to weigh in on this, but what do you think?
I think no.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't think that he's going to reveal a bombshell. This does feel like something that he would do where he gets everybody wired up to talk about something, and then I kind of am leaning in here with Hans. I think that he's going to make a big deal about the Save America Act and why that needs to be passed. And he might actually start reading what's in the Save America Act to get people to press their senators on getting it passed.
I am with you, actually. I think that might be so he may mention something that's new to us from 2020 election world, but nothing that really changes the game,
right?
Other than to say, this is an issue. We need to pass the Save America Act and press those senators because, like Hans was saying too, the House just passed that. They passed the Save America Act now, and so we're waiting on the Senate. And really just, it sounds like one senator to flip over from the four who have been not on board with it to pass this Reconciliation Act that has to do with Department of Defense funding and it sounds like Homeland Security and things like that funding, and that they've associated this in spending with it. I listen, honestly, I said this on my weekend show a week and a half ago, that I didn't really understand how they were able to include an election integrity bill to just get voter ID, basically. That's what we're talking about when we say the SAVE Act. You're talking about proving that you're a U.S. citizen when you register to vote, which is a very, very popular thing to do. But getting that into a reconciliation bill seemed to me like it was going to be really difficult. And I said, I don't know how they're doing it. And then it was either this show or some other show on 97.1 played Mike Johnson fully talking about how how they're doing it, and I thought, dang, that actually seems pretty airtight.
Well, they might be able to make this work.
Yeah, I mean, I really was surprised. I wish I could remember all the details of it, but it's really involved like parliamentary kind of stuff. So I just heard it and went, well, okay, they definitely are going to get that through, and I'm not sure. They've thought of everything. It's not as if they're like, well, we're just going to pass it and then it's going to get struck down. No, the point of the House, at least, is that they're getting this actually passed. Now, the Senate may be a little bit more like, well, if we alter this and that,
Harumph.
then I'll vote for it. Oh, by the way, that took it out of contention from being an actual bill. I tried. Like, there's going to be somebody probably that does something like that. But I don't think the House is doing that. We'll take a short break and be right back here on the Annie Frey Show, 97.1 FM Talk.
We're here to celebrate America's 250th birthday in 2026. This is 97.1 FM Talk. America 250 is sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
When the rain starts to come down, you get that pit in your stomach because it's going to come into your basement as well. You got to get over this by solving the problem once and for all. And I know from a past home where we had to get basement waterproofing done that it took a little bit for the forecast to show rain and for me to feel like I don't have to worry about this anymore. Well, with Home Shield Foundation Repair at 314-271-9900, you call Matt Hayes, call his team, and have them look at your basement water situation and give you the solution, the explanation, the estimate that will give you confidence to go forward and get it solved once and for all. It comes with a lifetime warranty, but here's the other thing. Every time after the job is done and your basement doesn't leak anymore and you get all of that usable space back, the cool thing is that when rain is in the forecast, initially you're going to get that pit in your stomach and then you're going to have the relief because Home Shield Foundation Repair solved it once and for all. Find them online at homeshieldfoundationrepairs.com.
License number GL2500615.
You're cooking dinner. The lights go out. You flip the breaker and forget about it.
But what if it keeps tripping?
Trips once, your breaker's doing its job. Keeps tripping? That's a warning. Bad wiring or something worse.
Do people just keep flipping it?
Most do, until they can't anymore.
Call Grasser. We'll stop the trip.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
If you're a business or brand that's still paying for ads people skip or ignore, that's cute. Try a new method of advertising your customers can't mute. Join our mobile movement so you don't get left in our dust because stationary billboards are a bust. Big, bold, loud, and in-your-face advertising that doesn't wait for traffic. We drive through it, bringing your business or brand right to your customers' eyes. You can't delete it. You can't trash it or swipe right. Hell, you can't even ignore it. The answer? The moving billboards, baby. We circulate around any high-traffic venue, capturing people's attention when they're making decisions. Inside stadiums, big brands compete for attention, but outside the stadium, we own the street media. Because in a world that's went mobile, your advertising should too. Try moving billboards. They really work. PinkTiger.ai.
It's Tom Ackerman for Ophthalmology Associates, the doctor's doctors, 314-966-5000 or online at youridoc.com.
If you need to sell your home to buy a new home, it's never been more important to have an experienced negotiator you can trust. You need my friends Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty on your side, fighting for every dollar for you. Check out thegelmanteam.com. That's thegelmanteam.com.
This is the Annie Frey Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
This weekend, I was a part of a wedding, and I was a part of it in a way that I've never been before. This was my brother and now sister-in-law's wedding, and I think the whole thing went really well. Although, looking out at the window today, it's another rainy day, and am I wrong in saying that this has been the rainiest summer that I could remember? I mean, it is every day there's some sort of threat of rain.
It's pretty rainy this summer, at least for July. I'm not used to it being this rainy in July for sure.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is like this late in the summer, usually you start to get the dry season.
Yeah, this is whenever I'm usually mowing the dust.
Exactly.
And it has not. Like everything is growing.
It is driving me crazy having to cut this thing so much. But the same was this weekend. If you're in the St. Louis area, you probably already know that it was threatening to rain all weekend. And we were sort of dodging the raindrops as we went. And we didn't know whether it was going to be an outside wedding or not. It was supposed to be an outside wedding. And up until even the last minute, we just didn't know. And then the sun came out all of a sudden, and it was super hot and humid, but it wasn't raining. And so that was a blessing. But a weird thing happened. So I was officiating this wedding, and I've never done that before. Brad, I asked you for advice, off air. I'm like, anything? You're like, well, I've got my script or whatever you call it.
Well, the message.
The message. And you're like, you can share it with, I could share it with you if you want. And I said, well, I already have a couple versions, so I've got that part, but I just didn't know if there was any other advice. And you were like, no, not really.
No, it's just do the script. Don't screw up the bride and groom's name, stuff like that. The bride is Mrs.
I don't know that I did that right or not.
Ooh.
I just said their names, but it was my brother, so it's a little.
Yeah.
There's some grace.
Yeah. I've done 3 weddings now, and they are all very. And I don't know if you felt this way because it was your brother, but these are people that I know personally, and they are friends, and it's an important thing whenever they ask me to do a wedding or perform a wedding ceremony. It is stressful because it is their day and you don't want to screw it up. You don't want to be the story of their day.
Okay, that's actually the advice I needed, even though we're through it now.
Yeah.
Is that I didn't know why I was so stressed over it. And stress maybe isn't even the right word. I just felt like I couldn't relax.
Right.
Because naturally when you're public speaking, you're thinking about it, but we do this a lot. And so it's not the same as just being asked to go public speak.
I mean,
but I still was like, I have never done this before. So
the other thing that I would add to this, and this is just because I'm a pastor, is whenever you're doing this, you are helping them make a covenant before God.
Yep.
And so your job as a pastor is to build a lasting biblical Christian family, not to perform a wedding ceremony.
Yeah.
And so like your name is on that. And that's why like whenever I do them, there's oodles of premarital counseling, and we try to find any landmines that there might be in this marriage before we even get there and try to find a way to diffuse them or work around them.
Well, that's good advice now, too. It's all done now. But that's good advice. So 2 things happened that I got wrong, though.
Uh-oh.
But we caught him in rehearsal.
Okay.
So it was okay because the day of went flawlessly, I think. It was really hot for that moment. It was crazy because there was so much rain. And then the sun comes out and you go, this is great. And you are roasting.
Yeah, summer weddings
are
ridiculously hot.
It was crazy. But it was all like the pictures look nice because it was sunny finally. But 2 things went wrong. One, the bride-to-be's dad is walking her down the aisle during rehearsal.
Yeah.
And then he gets there and I'm supposed to say something then, but I didn't know that. And so I didn't have it as part of my script.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're just standing there, everybody's looking at each other.
Who gives this woman?
And then, I'm supposed to go, who gives this woman to marry this man? Or something along those lines is traditional. And then he's supposed to say, I do, or me and my wife do, or whatever.
Yeah.
And we just stood there, and it's no big deal. It was just awkward because I didn't know.
And that happened in rehearsal?
That happened in rehearsal.
And that's why you have rehearsal.
That's exactly right. So I added that line to it that night. The other thing, though, that was, I think, a bigger problem for only me, the rest of the wedding did not care about this at all, is that apparently for the entire rehearsal, my fly was open. Thank God the photographer was not there. Now, people had pictures of things.
This is amazing.
I've yet to see one where I actually, like, my fly
where
was
you can tell.
Shown. But I was told later, hey, your fly is open. And here's the problem. My brother, who I'm doing his wedding, he heard us talking about that on the show. Not that incident.
Oh, that.
But if we ever had a fly down, what would you do? And we determined, you'd whisper in the person's ear. He did not do it.
I
he
thought
didn't tell me at all.
Step up
like,
in
dude,
rehearsal.
You even heard the segment and didn't do it.
Zip it up for you.
Thank you.
At a local speed dating event, homeowners weren't looking for love. They were looking for the one.
Honey, I got the best news.
What, you installed all the ceiling fans?
No, I found the one.
Oh, I thought I was the one.
Yeah, you are, but this one is certified, background check, and everyone was fighting over him. Plus, He can install all the ceiling fans.
Okay, who is this guy?
A Jerry Kelly technician.
For heating, cooling, electrical, or plumbing, find the one for your home. Schedule today at
According to MasterCard, nearly half of small businesses have been a victim of a cyber attack. As cybercrime escalates, ThrottleNet is calling on businesses to strengthen their security posture by taking a free online IT security audit right from your desk. This 3-minute online assessment provides an immediate score to see security gaps and vulnerabilities in your network. For 26 years, ThrottleNet has supported your business IT everything right here in St. Louis. In fact, no client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. So visit throttlenet.com/971 to take the free assessment today.
You work hard, follow the rules, and get absolutely slammed by taxes. Your paycheck taxed, your property taxed, everything you buy taxed. Missouri's tax system isn't broken, it's rigged against you. The lawyers and lobbyists working for big corporations and the super rich buried over 200 loopholes for themselves in our tax code. While they pay nothing on the services they use, working families are taxed over and over. It's no wonder they're lying about Amendment 5. Our corrupt tax system is rigged in their favor. They're getting a free ride on your back. Don't believe their lies. The truth is, Amendment 5 closes loopholes exploited by the super rich and slashes taxes paid by Missouri's working families, phasing out income taxes and cutting property taxes. They finally pay what they owe while you keep what you earn. Vote yes on Amendment 5. Paid for by Missouri Promise PAC.
If you like that comfortable setting to hang out where people know your name, check out Lit Cigar Lounge. My friends at Lit Cigar Lounge are fantastic. Brian and Dana and Andrew and Charlie and Nick and all of them down there are going to get to know you by name because it is a family-run business in the Chesterfield Valley and the district. They've got an extensive selection of bourbons and whiskeys and craft cocktails and some of the best hand-rolled cigars from around the world. Check them out at the district or go online to litstl.com. It's Mark Cox. Celebrate the month of July with Zero Res. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $129 and get your air ducts clean for $599 per unit. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com and take advantage of the savings.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
Lisa Brady, Fox News. Central Command just confirming another round on top of 3 waves of airstrikes yesterday.
And while CENTCOM says this is the 5th straight night of airstrikes, really they've been going on for more than a week, going back to July 7th when President Trump made the decision to ramp up this conflict and turn it back into a major military operation.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson in Tel Aviv. The U.S. accuses Iran of violating a ceasefire agreement by attacking commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran threatening to close another strait at the entrance to the Red Sea if President Trump follows through with plans to attack power plants next week, unless Iran returns to the negotiating table. Iran could be part of the president's address to the nation tonight, but White House spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt confirms the focus will be election integrity and says evidence-backed findings will be released. Leavitt also says the president is aware of reports about a teleprompter operator accused of making tens of thousands of dollars by placing bets on what the president will say in speeches.
There are very strict ethical requirements required by all staffers and officials here at the White House, and if they are violated, people will pay consequences for that, as you're seeing with this case.
She says the teleprompter staffer is now on unpaid administrative leave. Vehicle stops by ICE will continue, the White House making that clear. However, an ICE source tells Fox at least one body camera must be on. A pause had been planned after 2 deadly shootings during immigration enforcement operations within a week, but the president says the stops are an important tool. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
We believe in a safe and a strong and a secure border. We also believe at the same time that immigration enforcement in this country should be fair, just, and humane. That's not what's taking place right now.
Well, the White House says a rollout of body cams to all ICE field offices is slower than planned, blaming Democrats for a government shutdown that affected funding. America is listening to Fox News.
Point! Hey, you okay? You don't normally miss those shots.
I just haven't been as regular lately, and it's making me feel sluggish.
You should try Metamucil. It's been a game changer for me. Metamucil's plant-based psyllium fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Ace, you're moving better than you were last week.
Definitely.
Metamucil keeps you moving. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Learn more at metamucil.com.
I'm David Ortiz. When I lost my mom, she was only 46. And I lost my dad to cancer. It was the worst pain I ever felt. It made me think, what will happen with the people I love when my time is up? That's why I have life insurance. Ethos makes it easy. It's all online, take about 10 minutes, and you can get up to $3 million in coverage.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid testimonial. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Typical middle of July weather for our Thursday afternoon. Partly sunny skies, warm to hot, quite humid, and there are spot thunderstorms popping here and there. Some will bring some brief heavy downpours of rain and thunder and lightning, 93. Spot evening storms until about sunset. Otherwise, partly cloudy, 75, and Friday, 93 degrees. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The Annie Frey Show is sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Time to schedule your air conditioner service. Get not just your AC, but your entire HVAC system checked for $19 a month with the Preferred Partner Plan. And be ready for the first heat wave. AirComfortService.com.
So in Flushing, Queens, in this area, you have these adult daycares. They're like play date centers for seniors.
Yeah,
for
so if they don't
Koreans.
want to be alone in their house, and they're picked up at their home and taken to this center.
Exactly, and we pay for it. And then right around them, they have all these pharmacies set up. They have all these durable medical equipment companies set up. And it's just like this big racket where they start billing all of these people with these medical beneficiary numbers from these seniors, from these adult daycares. And because they make so much money from Medicaid, they're then able to give kickbacks to the seniors. So you have these Korean and Chinese mafias, quite literally, looting the government from Medicaid and then giving the kickbacks to the seniors.
So wait, the old people get money themselves?
Well, they make so much money, these pharmacies and these adult daycares, that they then have a little referral program set up for these seniors. So it's like, bring in a friend, we'll give you $100. Thank you for coming. Here's your $25.
It's good money if you can get it. I guess so. When you see this, and it's so pervasive, what can be done to put an end to this? Because this seems like the biggest entrepreneurial activity of certain immigrant classes now. I mean, this is a big business for the immigrant community.
Yeah, it's for entrepreneurship.
For entrepreneurs.
It's just a state of where the media is at when you have Nick Shirley, this random dude is he from Minnesota, or did he just start working in Minnesota?
I don't think he's from Minnesota. I think he traveled to Minnesota to do that investigation.
He might be from Ohio. I can't remember exactly where, but he's just some dude, and he just had a YouTube page. It wasn't even a big YouTube page, and he started doing investigations into the Minnesota fraud. You know the story, but this is stuff that's like on a silver platter, easy to find for any mainstream outlet that's got any resources. I guess you could say that a lot of the mainstream outlets don't have the same resources they used to because people aren't watching that stuff as much as they used to. But shoot, if you're just some guy, at least they have some guy at ABC News or NBC or something. you got to have at least one guy who's out there able to find these things pretty quickly. I guess that's the good thing about the democratization of content, as they call it, that you do have citizen journalists out there pointing these things out, and then people like Laura Ingraham bring them on to say, okay, well, then what's the story? Now, it's almost like an internship for the main outlet that we're just going to grab this guy. This guy did all the work. Nick Shirley saying that there are Chinese and Korean mafia-like structures set up in the United States to launder money through Medicaid. And he's not. This isn't the first time we've heard these kinds of stories. They're always a little bit different depending on where they are, but there's a lot of money flowing through this, so much so that Stephen Miller recently said, of the Trump administration, recently said that he thinks that there are multiple billions of dollars that they might be able to claw back maybe by the end of this term of Trump's. And he mentioned, like, could we actually balance the budget? I would have to be, I'm a little skeptical that they could get to that point, because when you talk about the balancing the budget, you need to get 1.5 trillion roughly back per year. That's not getting rid of the debt. That's just balancing the current budget that we're still adding to. But if they could get close, that would be tremendous. And of course, it just ends up making the cost of everything go up, not just in those organizations themselves or these programs, but by the amount of money that we're putting toward these things. It makes inflation go up. I got an article here from Fox Business that I've talked about on my weekend show, and I think I talked with Mark Cox about it last week too. But it shows a report from the Fed of Texas, the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas, and the Federal Reserve System. And here's what's interesting about this. So it comes from Fox Business, obviously, so you know that we're talking about a conservative-leaning outlet. But the report itself from the Reserve Bank of Dallas goes out of its way to say that we're not making any assumptions about this. We're just giving you the data. like they don't really want to be associated with it. And by the way, this is not the Federal Reserve in Washington, D.C. or something that's being controlled by the Trump administration. This is just the Fed in Dallas. They put out this paper, and the paper says, published by the Federal Reserve Bank, combines immigration court records. Interesting way of going about this. Speaking of journalism, I guess this is the Fed doing this. Combines immigration court records with government administrative data to measure how the unprecedented wave of illegal immigration between 2021 and 2024 affected local labor and housing markets. Now, you might recognize those dates. 2021 through 2024 happens to be the Biden administration. The author, and here's the disclaimer, the authors caution the study is a preliminary draft circulated for professional comment and does not necessarily reflect the views of the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas or the Federal Reserve System. But yet, here is the data. Researchers found the influx of illegal immigrants boosted employment with little measurable effect on wages. Now, you might hear that and go, well, that sounds like a good thing, right? No. You kept people who are here legally from getting pay raises because you had so much competition for jobs.
Right. It's supply and demand.
Exactly. So it actually boosted employment numbers. So it made Biden's employment numbers look a little better, but it was illegal immigrants getting the jobs and keeping your wages from going up with inflation.
Yep. Competing with citizens for those same jobs.
Right. So it says that first. And then secondly, it significantly increased housing demand. Well, duh.
Yeah. No kidding.
You add 15 million people to a country overnight almost, and yeah, you're going to have a housing problem. I've talked to realtors before. This is a really weird thing. So I have some business in real estate, and I do some investing and stuff like that. So I talk to people in that world pretty often. And one of the guys that I talked to about this subject quite a bit said, I'm not really sure how he agreed. He's like, certainly illegal immigration is out of control, but I'm not sure how it's affecting our market here, or really any market in the United States, because if you're here illegally, you can't buy a house. Well, on paper, that's supposed to be true. But you know that every state in the union, at least blue state, has been working day and night to try to make sure that you have papers, because that's why they call them undocumented. Oh, you're just undocumented. We'll just give you papers and now you're documented. So they try really hard to give them those documents, first of all. And second, even if the entire United States system just was broken just at the border, but the rest of us all were like, yeah, that's a problem. The border's a mess, but none of us are on board with all of this illegal immigration. So let's make sure that people who are here illegally can't buy houses. And we were all doing that. Where do you think those people go? 15 million people, roughly.
Right.
Do you think they're all just living on the streets? No, some might. but not that many. So they're finding housing in one way or another, whether it be through family or through rentals or through any means possible. They're going to find housing. It's a basic human need. So to say that, oh, well, and I've heard this from not just like realtors, I've heard this from, political arguments from the left. Well, they can't really buy houses. Well, that's bull.
They're occupying houses because they're not on the street.
And the Federal Reserve says, of course, it significantly increased housing demand in the United States. Surprise, surprise. Now, I'm going to read some numbers here. It says a 1% increase in unauthorized workers relative to a labor force corresponded with a roughly 1% overall increase in employment. Do you see what I'm saying here when they put this report out? 1% increase in unauthorized workers, as in illegal immigrants, is relative to a local labor force correspondent of roughly 1% increase in overall employment, as in 1-to-1 ratio. They come in, they get jobs. That's what you're talking about. With no evidence that the immigration surge was an improvement to wages. The same 1% increase, however, was associated with a roughly 2.2% rise in home prices. So yes, overall, you see employment rise at a 1-to-1 ratio. But for every one person or 1% of illegal that came in, you had a roughly 2.2% rise in home prices and a 1.4% increase in rents. So if you expound that over lots of percents, that goes up very, very fast. I don't think it's the only reason houses went up because they overprinted money, but it's definitely a big part of it. The economists estimate that unauthorized immigrant worker flows accounted for about 30% of employment growth. So all the employment growth during the Biden administration, they were counting illegal immigrants.
So not only was the economy garbage under the Biden administration, it was ultra garbage, and they hit it as best they could.
Oh, they absolutely did. And it accounted for roughly 30% of home price growth. So again, that's not all the price growth, but that's a major portion of it. And then it goes on to say, and about 20% of rent price growth in the average metropolitan area between March of 2021 and March of 2024. So basically what you find overall is that you have the Biden administration and whoever was running the Biden administration doing everything possible, ultimately, to make inflation as bad as possible. Because it wasn't just one thing. I will point often to the fact that they overspent. And you can look at the very end of Trump's term and say, even he overspent. That was in the middle of COVID. He made some decisions during that quote-unquote unprecedented time that I think that he even regrets at this point. But I certainly did not want to happen at the time. But everybody was just unhinged and we didn't know what was happening. Well, then the Biden administration came in and doubled down and spent a lot of money. And ironically or unironically, called the main portion of it the Inflation Reduction Act, which is a joke. I mean, that is like, we think you might be stupid, and so we're going to name this in a way that you might not notice. That is just insulting. But they did zero to curb inflation. I mean, every single thing they did, which you wouldn't think about immigration being a part of that. You'd think, well, that was a mistake and obviously an agenda. But now with this report coming out, it is directly tied to a lot of the inflation and the lack of wage growth to keep up with that inflation. It is remarkable at every turn what you find during those 4 years is that they did everything possible, probably on purpose to an extent. I just don't know how much they knew that, oh, well, if we do a ton of illegal immigration, this will affect inflation negatively. I'm not sure they're even wise enough to have predicted that, but obviously that is exactly what happened. And we're still dealing with it now. And I just think it's really important to point out that we really haven't caught up. And the way that you catch up is not that you're going to have price reductions. You're just not. You're not going to have things go back down in price. You just have to make more money. And you have to get to the point where your wages and generally the average person's wages outpace inflation. And that did not happen for 4 years. It's starting to happen now. We talked to a lot of economists who've watched Trump in action. And that's been one of his goals. They knew that they weren't going to have prices drop. At least good economists did. They knew, like, you're not going to have a lot of people coming in and going, you know what we'll do is we'll just reduce the price of cars. No, it's not going to happen. Your costs are still high. You just have to have wage growth making up for it. And that's why I wanted to point this article out to say that it's not just inflation. It's the fact that everything they did actually helped keep wages low while inflation was going crazy. Anyway, we'll take a short break. We've got Ethan coming in for Ethan Sports and Local next here on the Annie Frey Show, 97.1 FM Talk.
The Retirement Advisory Group is waiting for your phone call. They'd love to meet you, and I have a feeling that you will love what they can do for you to help you get to the promised land. Retirement, yes, that sounds like a very lovely and exciting thing that you've been working your tail off. So fill in those gaps of where it's kind of spooky to think about retirement because you want it to be everything you've dreamt of, but you're just not 100% sure yet. Can I do it? Have I saved enough? Did I do the things that I need to do to make retirement the destination that I've always wanted and hoped it to be? 314-993-9494. Call 314-993-9494 and talk to the Retirement Advisory Group and Bob and Tammy Kershaw about ensuring that you have a retirement that's going to last you a lifetime. You've got the right phone number right here at 314-993-9494 and know that they are looking out for you. A no-cost, no-obligation retirement review, retirementkey.com.
Let's take a break.
Good idea.
Hey, Tom, what are you doing on that Amendment 4?
You know, we fought for our freedom and rights. I'm not giving them away without a fight.
4 takes them?
That's exactly what 4 does. For over 100 years, Missouri voters have used our constitutional power to act when the politicians refused. I'll be darned if I'm voting to pass on less freedom and power to my kids.
And doesn't 4 also kill majority rule?
Yup. Creates minority rule, where just 5% of the most liberal statewide voters in one Missouri congressional district that block any citizen-led reform, making it nearly impossible to pass common-sense conservative citizen ballot measures.
That's crazy town stuff.
And we've needed our citizen ballot measure power to pass some big conservative stuff, like outlawing tax hikes without voter approval, lobbyist reforms, and term limits for career politicians.
No way I'm letting a tiny fraction of liberals derail our conservative power. I'm no on Amendment 4.
Hard no on 4.
Pay 4 buttons every inch per care governance.
If you hate to paint, do what your neighbor Mr. Rob Miller from Harvesttown Auto Body in St. Peters did. He called Rhino Shield. Rob, what was the thought process for going with Rhino Shield as a business owner?
My family's business is over 10,000 square feet, and it did not have the curb appeal I wanted.
Rob, tell everyone how the experience was with Rhino Shield from start to finish.
The process that I liked was when you came out, you gave me all of these options that would fit my building. Our building was really faded. I don't want to have to paint my building again. 25 years is a long time to not have to worry about the outside maintenance of your building as far as paint. That's a no-brainer. That's why Rhino Shield worked for me.
Are your neighbors jealous?
I would be if I was them.
Thanks, Rob. Now it's time to call 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Genius.
Don't paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Don't let tax refund worries hold you back. File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve or your money back. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
Annie Frey is St. Louis conservative. This segment of the Annie Frey Show is sponsored by All Financial.
Hold up. Check it out. Sports and local.
Ethan Berger with an extra side of ETH.
Hi, Ethan.
That's me.
Seems like we've hit that one a lot recently. Like that one's randomly come up more than others.
ETH is an important part of it.
Okay.
It is.
I mean, I like my hot dogs to be all... Never mind.
I want to hear how that was going to end.
Whoa.
I was going to say all...
This is how that television show got canceled.
That's right. That's exactly right. Thank you very much, Ethan. Sports and Local.
Nice. The St. Louis Blues announced their 2026-2027 season schedule this morning. You know, kind of funny.
the Blues and the Cardinals both announced next season's schedules today.
That is
I don't know
funny.
if that was intentional. Probably not.
Probably not.
But it is also kind of funny that happened at the same time, considering the Cardinals are halfway through their current season.
Yeah, their seasons are so different.
And the Blues are let's see, July 16th. They still got a couple months here. They're about 2.5 months away. But it is interesting how the different sports release the schedules at such different times.
Yeah.
So I'll tell a little bit about the Cardinals 2027 schedule in a second. But first, the Blues schedule. They will begin the season on the road against the Dallas Stars. They will follow against the Colorado Avalanche, the Blackhawks. Those are the first 3 games. All of them are on the road. I believe that for all 3 of those games, I believe it's 2 of those games, they will be the home openers for the other teams. And then their home opener will be on October 8th. They'll be hosting the San Jose Sharks. And then as you go throughout the year, I believe I saw there's 22 weekend home games this year. They will be home around Christmas on the 27th, facing off against the New York Rangers. Let's see, the Chicago Blackhawks will be in town on several occasions throughout the season. The first one being on December 4th, if you want the opportunity to see Blues Blackhawks, in my opinion, one of the best rivalries in the NHL. And then they'll be back in town on the 26th. So I think that the Blues are going to be better this year. At least I think that they have. I think that they have the chance to be better. They acquired some guys just a few weeks ago that have higher ceilings. I think that if they are to hit close to that, then I think that they're going to be better. The big question really is, okay, they traded Jordan Kyrou. That's a guy that, outside of last year was a 30-goal per season scorer. So it depends on which Jordan Kyrou you traded. Did you trade the 30-goal scorer or did you trade the 18-goal scorer?
I think they traded the last season Kyrou.
I think so too. I think so too. But he'll probably at some point get back to 30 goals, especially in that Washington offense. They had a really good offseason. So I'm optimistic that the Blues will be back in the playoff mix this year and that they got younger, but allowed themselves opportunity for these young guys to continue to develop. So not going to be a Stanley Cup contender this year, but I think that they will be in the mix for the Stanley Cup playoffs. As mentioned, the Cardinals also released their schedule for 2027 this afternoon. And, the schedule releases aren't nearly as fun as they used to be because now you play everyone. So part of the thing that was fun in years past is that for interleague play, you only played one division per year. So that means that, you would only see once every 6 years certain teams in the interleague because, if it's once per 3 years, you also have to play that team on the road some as well. So the Cardinals play every team every season now, but teams from the American League that will be in town next year include the Minnesota Twins, the Toronto Blue Jays, the Athletics, the Detroit Tigers, the New York Yankees. They're always fun when they're in town. The Los Angeles Angels, and the Houston Astros. I believe those are all of the teams. The Cubs, of course, will be making their way back into St. Louis on multiple occasions. The first time will be May 28th through 30th, which I believe was the same weekend that they're in town this year. And then they'll be in town also later in the season in August 9th through 11th. Of course, we're talking about 2027, so a little bit farther down the road. They will open the season on the road, opening day against the Cincinnati Reds. I think this is kind of fun. In my personal opinion, the Cardinals and the Reds are the two teams that do opening day the best in Major League Baseball. It's also the only day that the Cincinnati Reds have a pretty full crowd. So, and then
don't start down that road.
Shots fired!
Reds and Cubs on the road to start off the season, and then the Cardinals opening day will be on April 1st, 2027, and it'll be the Kansas City Royals this year. So that'll be kind of a fun rivalry to be having.
You were talking about the interleague play and how how it changed, and you see everybody all the time. The other thing that does is that cuts down on rivalry games. We used to play the Cubs a lot more often.
Yep, that's right. They do not play interdivision nearly as much as they used to. Listen, I am all for players like Aaron Judge, and it used to be Shohei Ohtani, when he was playing for the Angels, being in St. Louis more. That is a good thing. But on the other side, like you said, you don't get to see nearly as much of the Chicago Cubs. You see them twice a year at home rather than 4 times a year at home, and that is certainly something I think that fans do miss, is getting the opportunity to see them more than 6 times a year at your home ballpark.
I recognize that I was not here when this happened, so the day after, you guys might have talked it to death already, but the Jordan Walker home run derby, you guys hit that quite a bit.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, it was I didn't watch it, but my phone was blowing up from people just texting about it, and so I'm like, wow, I really missed something then. So go ahead.
I was just going to say, it was post-2011 a top maybe 5 moment for the Cardinals.
That's amazing. Is that saying a lot about the Cardinals, though?
The Cardinals had some great years post-2011. They had some rough moments in there as well, but let's not act like everything was horrible immediately following. 2012 through 15, those Cardinals teams were very formidable. They were on a couple of occasions just 1 or 2 games away from going back to the World Series. They went back to the World Series once, like you mentioned, in 2013, which, even though it was a disappointing series, was an awesome series.
Yeah.
And even then, 2019 was a great season. 22, you had Albert in the run to 700 home runs. So there has been still a lot of great moments of Cardinals baseball post 2011. This was right up there with all of them.
Okay, so because everybody was so excited about the home run derby, and I'm like, I kind of missed out, I watched the All-Star game.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
My gosh, that was terrible.
It
may just be
brutal.
that we were losing and, nothing really excited happened for the National League. But I hate the All-Star game partially because I grew up watching the American League win almost every year. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's changed recently where National Leagues can actually come back. But that game was terrible.
It's basically back to being even. I mean, how many years in a row did they won 13 years, 14 years or something like that in a row?
They?
The American League at one point.
Oh, yeah, when I was a kid, that's what it was. And it just drove me nuts.
Brad looked it up the other day. What was it, 21 out of 25 or something like that?
What was that?
That the times that the American League had won in the last 25?
It was 420 and 1. Since 2000.
And I'm not kidding. Everybody of a certain age that's older than me, well, I'll say somebody who's over 60, reminds me that when they were growing up, the National League never lost. That in that era, the National League was way better than the American League.
It's crazy.
In my childhood, man, I loved the All-Star game. That's the problem.
I mean, I guess you had the Cardinals, you had the Dodgers, you had the Giants. I mean, those were 3 of the best teams in baseball, the Phillies. So, I mean, I think it makes sense.
I guess. You got one more?
Yeah, we can roll with one more here. This is kind of a fun one. Soulard has submitted, I guess, I don't know what you dug up or buried, I guess is the right word to say, a time capsule that is going to remain sealed until the year 2126.
The city of Soulard did it?
Yeah. It says, Soulard has changed dramatically over the past 50 years, but what will it look like 100 years from now? This is a quote from Philip Hanley. He is the time capsule project manager. Most of us will never know, but future generations will have the opportunity to see how we live today and what makes Soulard a unique and beloved neighborhood thanks to our time capsule, which contains artifacts such as letters from people who live in the neighborhood, photos, menus from restaurants and bars, Mardi Gras baubles,
baubles?
Oh, that's what it says. Artwork from local vendors. So I don't know. Is there any? Let me ask you this: if you were, let's fast forward to 2126. Let's say you were growing up in that day and age, and you opened this thing up, saying, "Okay, who knows what's going to be in here? Maybe there's something valuable." and just a bunch of pictures
Well,
and Mardi Gras beads.
Well, what you don't know is over the next 100 years, because of alchemy, gold is going to be almost valueless. But Mardi Gras beads are going to skyrocket. I'm talking like you're going to see it like Bitcoin. Mardi Gras beads are going to go nuts. And I don't know why yet.
Okay, gotcha. Got it. Okay, got it.
I
don't
just
know why yet.
No, but I do know that's my prediction.
You should take that to Poly Market.
I will. It seems like you'd have to wait.
Mardi Gras beads.
Like anything that's 100 years ahead.
I will leave it. I will leave it with my grandkids.
Yeah, and then they're going to owe the debt. No, do I have to pay up front though?
Probably.
For that?
Why
I don't
would you
like
pay
that
in the
deal.
moment?
I don't like that deal. I don't want to pay up front for that bet to not have it pay off, and because it's definitely a good bet though. That's the problem, is that you know it's going to pay off, but
you don't want to
gotta
pay.
wait 100 years.
Yeah,
And
right.
so I don't want to put $100 into that right now.
What if it means, setting up your kids, your grandkids for life?
I think probably the better bet is just to collect beads. Is just to go, next time I honestly don't know how to get beads other than just the traditional way. So I will.
Is that how you're going to encourage your kids?
No. I'm going to send the Annie Frey Show correspondent out, which would I guess be you? I don't know.
No, that's you.
No. During Mardi Gras to just collect beads, and just store up your child's scholarship fund is really what that would be.
And shiny plastic.
Just selling your body off for plastic?
No, now you're putting a very negative light on that. I intend it to be very wholesome because I never been to a Mardi Gras.
Meaning you're going to show your whole peck?
Yeah, we're guys. We can do it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Wholesome, hat in hand. Please, sir, may I have some beads?
It is time for break.
Yes, it is.
For state senate, I like Mike. Mike Deering knows what a hard day's work looks like because he's done it his whole life.
I like Mike. He's a dad. He knows what our families are up against.
Mike Deering's a businessman. He knows what red tape actually costs.
I like Mike because Mike Deering stands with President Trump. Secure the border, cut our taxes, put Missouri first.
I'm Mike Deering. Career politicians spend more and tax more while your family gets squeezed. I'll lower your taxes, keep your money in your pockets, and cut government waste so deep it'll make the politicians squeal.
Mike Deering, farmer, small business owner, dad, conservative. I like Mike.
I like Mike.
I like Mike. For state senate, I like Mike. Mike Deering. On Tuesday, August 4th, vote Republican Mike Deering for state senate.
Make common sense conservative leadership common again.
Paid for by friends of Mike Deering. Megan Kaiser, treasurer.
The Second World War is the largest event in human history.
A 20-part series with Tom Hanks.
No part of the globe was untouched. No life unchanged.
Experience the ultimate account of World War II.
Every single person had a story. These are the stories that make us who we are.
Listen to World War II with Tom Hanks on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, you're not alone. Most importantly, you don't have to live with it. Paramount Men's Medical Center restores men's sex lives in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, even when Viagra and Cialis don't work. Here's Dr. Simovitz, specialist in men's health.
Paramount Men's Medical Center's painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. 98% of patients see instant results right in the office.
Men are now lasting longer than they ever imagined. And the best part, at Paramount Men's Medical Center, your consultation and first treatment are free. Qualified patients even get their testosterone checked free. Call 314-887-4333. 314-887-4333. Take control of your sex life. Call now. 314-887-4333.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. I'm with Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage, and if you're thinking about refinancing, he has some great advice.
Mark, this is a great time to refinance. If you financed over the last 3 years, you're probably paying a higher rate. Take advantage now. Refinance with the Bagel loan. No closing costs, no title fees, no lender fees, nothing. Bagel looks like a zero, easy to remember. For those of you folks that are waiting on the sideline saying, hey, maybe the rates will go down more, I'm going to wait. Take advantage now. A bird in the hand's better than two in the bush. Refinance, get the cash out you need, get a lower rate, maybe even go from a 30 to a 20 year and keep that payment the same. All with the Bagel loan.
And this is a quick process, right?
We close in 10 days. We send a notary out to your house to close so you don't have to take off any time from work. It's easy. It's simple. Bing, bang, boom. Your home is the biggest investment you're going to make in your life. Deal with somebody local, somebody has a reputation, somebody has accountability. I'm here in town. You can call me or text me after hours, weekends, whenever it's convenient for you.
Call or text Stewie at 314-324-4440 or Google the Bagel loan. NMLS number 226715.
Today's YouTube live chat poll. Will Trump reveal a bombshell tonight? Yes or no? Got a text. I got one more text here on the text line that I want to read, and it says that Trump is going to tell us that we are going back to paper ballots tonight. And that's from the 314. So we want to hear what you think Trump's bombshell is, what his really big news is going to be. So you can text us at 314-241-9797, or you can leave us a comment on Annie's YouTube page. The time is 2:38. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Happy birthday, America, in 2026. Get used to hearing the word semi-quincentennial. America 250 on 97.1 FM Talk. Sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
Yeah, it's still America 250 all year. We're going to keep celebrating it. Ryan Wiggins here, filling in for Annie Frey. Just a little more time until Mark Reardon takes over. How about this? From Yahoo News, Supreme Court ruling may wipe out Democrats' cash advantage in Senate battleground seats. And you may go, what? I didn't hear about this. We didn't talk about this one very much. It says, from Washington, U.S. Senator John Ossoff of Georgia is a fundraising juggernaut, raising more than $81 million so far this cycle and holding nearly $33 million in campaign cash, or $30 million more than his opponent in the November election. That's a lot of cash. That's a lot of extra cash. Mike Collins will be who is running against Ossoff. But that might not matter anymore. Ossoff's financial edge in a state that President Donald Trump won in the 2024 election may have effectively been erased by the U.S. Supreme Court, which last week struck down limits on how much individual candidates could coordinate their spending with national political parties. The Republican National Committee, the RNC, and the DNC, among others, will now be able to spend unlimited funds from their big donors in coordination with political campaigns. And the article from Yahoo says that could well tilt the playing field in favor of Republicans who tend to raise more money from, in their words, big corporate donors through national committees over Democrats whose candidates tend to raise more money from small individual donors. I have found from my own personal research that is malarkey. That is ridiculous. Yeah. Do you not remember the juggernaut that is Donald Trump? That dude raised so many individual donations, and I don't know about in the last year, but I know for sure that Donald Trump was a fundraising nightmare for Democrats, and they don't want to say that in this article. Like, if you're saying that Republicans have a cash edge at the RNC level, they do not give any attribution to Trump in this at all. And it's ridiculous. That is totally ridiculous. It says that while the national committees could previously spend on behalf of their candidates, party officials say the restrictions on coordinating their messaging and strategy with individual campaigns made that spending far less targeted and effective. Democrat candidates currently have a staggering cash advantage over Republican rivals in competitive Senate races. $16 million in North Carolina, $9 million in Ohio, and $8 million in Texas. And yet they're like, well, the corporations. Unlimited funds from the Republican Party's national apparatus, however, can now shore up lagging fundraisers such as Collins in Georgia, and Collins in Georgia, by the way, not in Maine, and Texas Republican Senate nominee Attorney General Ken Paxton in Texas. And it's just amazing to me that when you read these articles, if you don't, I mean, if you're interested in politics and you read it, you're going to come away from that thinking, oh, it's only big donors that donate to Republicans and not Democrats. Like this article misleads you all over the place. Although there is some truth in the headline. It's like the rest of it's like, here's my spin on it from Nolan McCaskill or whoever that is from Yahoo News. But it's just amazing because to ignore the amount of money that Donald Trump has brought into the Republican Party is just foolish.
Yeah. It's I don't know, it's odd to me. You can see the attitude toward the Supreme Court. The knee-jerk reaction is well, the Supreme Court is doing this to hurt the Democrat Party.
Yeah, and that's the other angle of the article.
That's I mean, that's all everything that they're doing is somehow or another they're in the bag for Republicans, blah blah blah. They can't understand that maybe the law is what the law is. And the Supreme Court is just ruling on it.
Yeah, it's a very good point that I didn't even think about in the angle that the article is taking to undermine the Supreme Court. I mean, that's constant too, is that anytime a ruling goes against Trump, it's like, look, truth prevailed. But anytime a ruling doesn't, they're like, well, these guys are in the bag for Trump. And you're like, make up your mind.
They rule against him enough.
A lot. In fact, we get really pretty upset about it because it's justices that a lot of times that Trump picked, like Amy Coney Barrett, ruling against him, and you're like, well, these guys are just in the bag for Trump.
She said something the other day that I wouldn't have said. You said you were kind of focusing on the big news, but she was in her and Elena Kagan were in explaining the Supreme Court's budget to the House committee, and she started talking about the swatting events and stuff like that, and she said how it could have caused her son and how that affects her and her son. And it's like, don't tell them that, because the people doing that will continue to do it, especially if you link it to the decisions that you make.
Oh, like personally?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, don't say that out loud. Even if you feel that way, don't say that out loud.
Marco Rubio, we played a clip earlier of him just listing the amount of political terrorism coming from the left. And I kept waiting for him to talk about the attempted assation of Brett Kavanaugh.
Oh, it's on there.
Was it? I
don't know if he said that.
No,
but,
I was going to say,
I
don't think he mentioned that one.
I mean, that's just a small portion of his whole
It's
speech.
on there as in the total.
Yeah,
because I don't think it was in this clip. But he goes on and on and on, and he lists it internationally. He lists it domestically. The obvious ones, making a lot of spotlight on Charlie Kirk for sure. But there's another clip I want to play before we get to a break here. This is apparently news that came out. Now, I saw this before the show, but I thought, I don't know that that's true. And then during the show, enough people have been talking about it that I said, well, then get the audio and make sure it's from a good source, because this stuff could be faked. So this is actually, as far as I understand, Brad, this is from the New York Post.
New York Post.
Okay, this is real audio of Chuck Schumer speaking, and this is from the New York Post. Tell me what you notice.
The American people need to know, of course, how and why this chaos is spreading through their streets, and we need a complete investigation that's independent. Now on Iran and the NDAA. When all the Trump administration can say about his disastrous war with Iran is that Vietnam was worse, a point Trump made yesterday, he reveals the scale of his failure.
Wait a minute now. No, we didn't play the video, but if you see the video, and actually you can hear it in the audio.
Oh, yeah, you can.
You can hear it. I'll play it back.
A little bit of bass in that.
A little bit of pause, too, from the minority leader there, Chuck Schumer, in the Senate, where he acknowledges that something has happened, and there's a little bit of a smile that creeps across his face. I'm just going to make sure that you heard it in case you missed it right here.
Now on Iran and the NDAA. When all the Trump administration can say about his disastrous war with Iran.
So this is why I got into politics. I wanted to cover just this stuff.
This is just because it's Chuck Schumer, but it's funny because it's a fart on the Senate floor.
And it's almost as if the mic was like, why was the mic picking that up?
It's like he picked it up off of his lapel and held it down there and then put it back.
It almost sounds like that, where you're like, how did he get the audio of that? I mean, it was really loud.
That was the chair.
We're going to have to assume that it was just that he was sitting in a very leathery chair. which is
while standing
which
at
is
the
false because he was standing at the podium. But we're trying to find a reason why something like this
On
doesn't
Iran
matter.
and the NDAA. When
maybe it was a coffee cup sliding across the
You
desk.
know what? It could have been. It could have been. And that's, but there's reaction to this from inside the Senate and the House now. I think Tim Burchett, is that his name?
Tim Burchett, yeah.
Tim Burchett was commenting that he thinks that the report has been that right before the speech that Schumer had Taco Bell, which is a pretty obvious joke. But still, it's the House, and they're making jokes about a fart, and I'm all here for it.
Yeah.
On that, we'll take a break. We got one more segment, and then Mark Reardon will take over. Surely he won't talk about this, will he? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe he will. We'll be right back.
Can't get enough 97.1? Follow us on social. Facebook, X, Instagram at 97.1 FM Talk, and YouTube at 97.1 FM Talk STL. 97.1 FM Talk. Let's connect.
Let's just face it, right? Your home should work for you, not against you. Hi, it's Kim, and if you've been dreaming of a new kitchen, bathroom, or a finished basement, now's the time to call Lakeside Renovation and Design. They're St. Louis's trusted experts in turning houses into dream homes. Just imagine this, a spa-like bathroom, maybe a chef-inspired kitchen, or how about a cozy basement perfect for some movie nights? Their team handles everything from design to installation so you can just sit back and enjoy the process. Visit lakesidearty.com today to start your dream renovation.
You've been listening to the very popular Wellness One for many years, Saturdays and Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 4 times a week. Yes, 4 times every weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness One. Now 4 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
The radical left let crime and drugs pour into our nation, and they let biological men into girls' sports. But here in Missouri, if there's a problem, we fix it. That's why Ann Wagner's fixing the mess the radical left made and delivering for us. Wagner voted to ban biological men from competing in girls' sports, and she voted to fund the police and provide more resources for Border Patrol agents, keeping our families, communities, and children safe. And Ann Wagner didn't stop there. In Congress, Wagner passed the largest working-class tax cut in American history, kept big government out of our business, protected our way of life, and ensured our communities remain safe. That's why Ann Wagner's endorsed by the Missouri Farm Bureau and Missouri Fraternal Order of Police. Vote Ann Wagner for Congress on August 4th.
I'm Ann Wagner, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Ann Wagner for Congress.
You know Zero Res, the zero residue carpet cleaner that leaves your carpets truly clean with no dirt attracting soaps or harsh chemicals. Don't risk it with the other guys and skip the DIY disasters that leave your carpet soaked for days. This month, get 3 rooms of carpet Zero Resified starting at just $129. Call 314-474-2020 or visit ZeroResSTL.com and ask for the 97.1 special.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Why should you hire America's largest injury law firm for your case? There's lots of reasons. Just like there's a reason millions of people called us last year in their time of need. When it comes to fighting for justice and compensation, millions of people across the country trust us to go to battle for them. We became the largest injury law firm in the world for a reason. There's only one Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Once again, Trump will be speaking tonight at 8 p.m. our time, and we'll be carrying that speech live. This is a nationwide address, and it's a little bit unexpected. I guess he mentioned it on Monday on Truth Social, but we don't know what it's going to be about. And the only thing that has been suggested is that he's going to talk about free and fair elections and the 2020 election, but we don't know to what extent, whether that will be in some way related to the SAVE Act and it won't be really any sort of bombshell, or it will be something big. I mean, we just don't know, and that's why we're asking you in the YouTube live chat poll, will Trump reveal a bombshell tonight? We'll get to that results in just a minute. In the meantime, speaking of political controversies, Chuck Schumer,
On
of
in
course,
the NDAA.
that was the controversy that we were just talking about, but there's another one, and this has to do with a Republican in Nevada. I'm going to play a little audio here of Republican Governor Joe Lombardo, although I guess party doesn't really matter when it comes to farts and stuff. I'm just saying. Nevada Governor Joe Lombardo got pulled over for a red light violation.
Hello. How you doing, sir? Good. Sergeant Pacheco, Metro Police. The reason I'm stopping you is for the... Joe Lombardo.
Okay, now, hang on a second. Now, the police officer introduces himself at the window there. At that point, what do you usually say, Brad? If you get pulled over and the police officer introduces himself, what is your reaction? What do you say?
I just let him finish whatever he's saying. I don't cut him off.
I think so, too. I don't think that I would say Ryan Wiggins.
Yeah. Brad Range.
However, that is what Governor Joe Lombardo did.
Joe Lombardo.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for telling me. And by the way, he goes on to say, yeah, I know.
I'm aware.
I am aware.
I ran your plates, sir.
Yeah, we know who you are. But I'll play the rest of this. But clearly, he's name dropping, right, Brad?
Right. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, that's not something
Like,
you normally do.
You hear it, but in the video, he kind of was like pointing at himself, like this Joe Lombardo right here.
Okay. Now, the immediate reaction is blech. Like, nobody likes that. However, I'll ask you, put yourself in the situation. And I was actually thinking when I was doing this, I wasn't trying to defend a Republican or anything. I actually thought he was a Democrat until I looked at him. Oh, that's a Republican.
Yeah.
Regardless, put yourself in the situation. Would you ever maybe flex a little bit and be like, yeah, well, no. Would you ever be tempted to do that?
So I've kind of been in this situation before.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
This is news to me.
So I got pulled over outside of Mascoutah. One of my wife's coworkers' husbands is a Mascoutah cop. I've met him many times in the whatever. And anyway, he comes up and he grabs my no. I hadn't met him yet, but he recognized
grabs your what?
He grabs my license. But anyway, he runs back. He's like, what's the speed? I was like, oh, we were just leaving, trying to get home before curfew, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, okay. And he goes back, comes back out, and he's like, are you married to Terry Range? I was like, yes. And he goes, why didn't you say that to begin with? Here you go. Slow it down. Get out of here.
Whoa. So it wasn't even you that got to name drop.
No.
It was your wife.
No. He recognized my last name, and he's like, oh, this is Brad. This is Terry's husband.
So that was your neck of the woods.
Yes. So it wasn't like a big, oh, I know who this person is. You know, I'm some sort of big wig or whatever like that. But I worked with his wife, and
you didn't try to do it.
No. And
he did.
Yes, and he did it, and he's like, next time, just say that. I was like, I can't.
I will not do that.
I can't. I told him I can't do that.
I don't know that
I can't
would
bring
either.
myself to do that.
Especially now knowing that you're on camera.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that stuff's going to go viral.
Yes.
And you know that it is. Well, if you're curious as to how this played out, I'll rewind a little bit here and show you.
I'm aware. For the red light violation back there, your right turn onto Giles here. So you're good to go, sir. Appreciate you. Have a good day.
All right, he just lets him go. And you can hear the governor saying there, come on, man. And I got to tell you, again, party away. I still, when I heard that, I'm like, I kind of agree. Like, really? Red light cameras, being pulled over for these little things. But at the same time, you got to show them respect because they're a police officer. Brad, what's the results of today's poll?
So today's poll, the results are 53% of you say yes, he is going to reveal a bombshell.
Trump will reveal a bombshell tonight.
Yes.
Okay, well, there's only one way to find out, and that is to wait and listen at 8 o'clock as we air the president's national address tonight. Will he deliver a bombshell? I guess just a slight majority of you say yes, he will.
Yep, and we'll be carrying it right here.
Brad, you are a no on this, though.
I'm a no.
And I think he'll probably tease something that's not quite a bombshell. So I'm a no. I think there'll be information, but maybe not a bombshell. We will see you tomorrow here on the Andy Frey Show. Mark Reardon coming up next.
So
Time now for today's Spotlight on Money, sponsored by Ethos.
If you pay your bills, a credit card is a smart way to go through life. Analyst Ted Rossman says, unlike a debit card, the credit card is the bank's money, and that's useful when putting down a deposit at a hotel.
As opposed to $500 missing from your checking account for days, even up to a week.
If a scammer gets your card number, you'd rather they have